Hello, everyone. Welcome to Big Seriously Energy. I'm Zraitor, your host. Our offering for episode 19 is Puppet Shows and Shadow Plays by Arc Dream Publishing. This will not only be our first Delta Green game, but also the first game not run by me. We expect this to be a 2-episode scenario. Starring Eerie Lunarose as the handler. They get the honor of being the first GM other than me on the podcast. Hopefully, we won't drive them too nuts. Starring EeiddKlabe as Mariela Godinez, a national park ranger who is very Americanized but is proud of her family values and heritage. Starring Alistair as Judith Henson, a federal agent who, besides her degree in criminology, is also great at computers and is an accomplished gymnast. Starring Oracle as Evelyn Johnson, a forensic investigator who has served as a surgical assistant and a triage nurse and now runs a funeral parlor. And finally, myself, Zraitor, as Richard Sappington, a federal agent who served in the military and leveraged his time there to obtain a degree that ultimately brought him into the FBI. July 28th, 1994. 13 people have vanished along Highway 70 in the Arizona desert. That stretch of road, the press already call it the Devil's Highway, runs through the San Carlos Apache Indian Reservation. Tribal police and state investigators are stretched thin, and as the numbers of missing climb, the feds are stepping in.
All right, I am not your keeper's raider today. I am your handler, Eerie, and we are playing Delta Green, puppet shows and shadow plays. So why don't we go ahead and go around the table and everybody introduce who your agent is. Let's just go down the row. We'll start with you, Z. Go ahead.
And I am Richard Sappington, federal agent who was in the military, and I leveraged my career there, very brief career, to become an FBI agent. I'm about 6 feet tall. My hair is still probably in the military crew cut. I'm wearing, your basic black federal agent outfit you would expect. I tend to like to take a case and just dump it on another agent, and I'm probably not very popular for this, but thankfully, Judith Henson puts up with it, and we've been partners for a while now.
All right, and then Mariela.
Mariela Godinez is a national park ranger. She's a short woman, 5'5". She's got black hair and dark eyes. She's physically fit, partially because of her job, but partially because she goes to the gym. She has, friends and family and so forth, but her life's not too interesting outside of work. Her career aspiration was to be a park ranger, though, so she's happy to get outside and be involved in her professional life. Due to her not only being a woman, but a short woman, she sometimes has to hold boundaries with people who take her maybe too lightly and forget that she is a law enforcement agent. So,
Thanks, EeiddKlabe. Now let's get Oracle with Evelyn.
Hi, I'm Evelyn. I was a nurse for 20 years in Phoenix. I recently took back over the family business when my brother passed. The family started a funeral home back in the early 1900s, and it's been in the family since. She is a sort of short, severe-looking woman, gray hair and a bun, and she kind of purports herself as such.
All right, and then last but not least, we have Allie playing Judith.
Hi, so I play Judith Henson. She's an FBI agent. She graduated in criminology, so that's her main focus. She used to be a gymnast. She's still in contact with her teacher, who is someone very important, and she's quite, I would say for me, tall. She's 5'6" and rather athletic from her past. She's very determined, but has a few weaknesses who are our close friends and family.
All right, and as we begin, it is the 90s. It is specifically July 28th, of 1994. The O.J. Simpson thing is going on, 90s music is on the radio, when the agents who are working out of the Phoenix field office, the Arizona field office for the FBI, wake up that morning. They have a page to letting them know that they need to get to the office ASAP. And that is from your boss, which is the special agent in charge at the Phoenix field office, one Patrick Hobson. So he wants you to meet him at his office as soon as possible this morning. And by the way, all of you have been, if you watch the news, the local news in Phoenix, there have been a lot of reports on lately in the last few days on a lot of missing people. People are missing right along Highway 70 in Arizona, particularly the stretch that goes past the Indian reservation out there. So how do your agents wake up in the morning? Bring them into the office for me.
All right, I wake up. I probably wake up bright and early. I look at my pager. I was probably expecting this. I do work for finding missing people often. I take a quick shower, put on my clothes, and I call up Judith right away.
Yeah, same as Richard. I do wake up early too, and usually I start with a run around the neighborhood to keep fit. I do get the call from Richard, and we meet up the office as soon as possible, as asked. Nothing too crazy for my character. She's quite straightforward in her routine, and not surprised by the event as well.
Right. So when you get to, this would be early in the morning, July 28th, you get to your boss's office, Patrick Hobson, and you see someone there that you may or may not recognize. I mean, would you have worked with any of the agents doing your job with the FBI, do you think, Evelyn? When you've helped them out before?
We'll say yes, just as if they're calling her in as like a professional consult, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you recognize Evelyn. You've seen her before. You know that she is a medical specialist, so she's served as ME before, when things have been strapped, if there have been a lot of bodies. And sometimes they just call her in to have somebody on hand. Apparently she was free, so you see Evelyn there. And you know that that's probably not related to whatever you guys might have been working on already, but when you come in, the Special Agent Hobson, he closes the door and he's like, okay, agents, whatever you were doing before, you're dropping that now. We've got a new case for you. You've probably heard on the news about these disappearances over in San Carlos area off Highway 70. There's now 3 more of them, bringing the total, or 4 more of them, bringing the total to 13 people. Not only is that a lot of people, but the latest disappearances were off the res. So now this has gotten interesting jurisdictionally. So you guys are going in as help, okay? This is not our case. We're going to be lending assistance. But basically, you've got, this was a highway patrol case they were working, and now the state police and the res police are, you know how that goes. So you're going to be kind of in the middle between them, and just go in there and play nice with the locals, okay? We don't want another Pine Ridge incident. We want to keep everything friendly, all right?
Play nice, you say. Can we expect collaboration from them, or is it going to be a tough one? What do you say?
I mean, they are pretty strapped, so I think they know that they need some extra help. You guys are highly trained, you've got skills you can bring to the table. I'm sure they're happy for the help, but we don't want to turn this into one of those stupid interdepartmental pissing contests. And those two particular agencies down there, those Leos don't necessarily always get along, you know. So, and we'll see where the case goes. Hopefully, we don't have to take the whole thing over, but this is crossing, jurisdictions, and that's why we're getting involved to help out. Okay.
Can you just give me out of RP? Can you just give me the two jurisdiction so there's state police, right?
Yeah, the state police were handling the case up until now. There's
Okay.
people missing off the reservation, the San Carlos reservation. So
Mhm.
now the Apache tribal police are involved, and we're just gonna kind of try to mediate between them, and try to keep
Okay.
things nice between the United States and the tribal societies.
Okay.
And if we're forced to pick a side, which side do we pick?
I mean, that's up to your discretion, agents. I don't think that it's necessarily a sides thing. The evidence is going to be, where the case ends up will depend on the evidence, and that may mean that it ends up with us. I mean, I don't know what's going on with this. Your full briefing will happen once you get to San Carlos. So, get your gear, get your stuff. Evelyn is going to be here because at this point, some of these people have been missing almost a month. I feel like we're
Okay.
expecting bodies. Now, there is a medical examiner in San Carlos that can help too, but we kind of, if we're sending you down there, we wanted to have somebody of our own as well. So,
Okay. So it's all three of us for our side, kinda, and that's it, right? No one else from the FBI or anything.
not that I've been made aware of. I just was told
Okay.
to put agents in, so you guys are my pick.
Okay, good. Right. Okay, well, I don't thinking if there's anything else.
One thing to know,
Yeah.
they found a couple of vehicles from this case. Just so you know, they did let me know from the state police that those are in the impound here already in Phoenix.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you wanted to, I can give you the credentials now that you could go and take a look at those, but they have already been processed. There's
A
probably
process by the state police, right?
Yep.
I think we better take it over ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Just to have the same information,
yeah, you can do your due diligence. Yeah, so if you go down to the impound yard, they can tell you what's been done with the cars and who they were registered to. They were both rental cars.
Okay. I guess we should do that now, Richard, right? Before we go to the area where the other jurisdictions are, unless it's best we go first there. I don't know what would be the best. What do you think, Richard?
No, I think we should go down, take a little look, and as you said, it's already been processed, so we probably don't have to spend too long. And as long as this is okay with Evelyn, I don't know how eager you are to get started.
Sounds like a plan to me. I don't see why we shouldn't.
All right.
Best to have all the information we can, I guess.
All right, and then just for a moment, we're gonna hop over to Mariela. So Mariela, you are already on the res. You have been called in because we're now at the point where there is some grid search happening of the reservation area. So that is what the tribal police have been doing for the past couple of days. And you have been called in to help with that. So you are at the tribal police substation on the res with the tribal chief, Colorados, and he is letting you know that there's going to be some feds coming in and he kind of wants you to babysit them. So, yeah, he comes in and talks to you. He's like, okay, so we really appreciate you coming in to help. I'm gonna pull you off the grid search that we're organizing though, because I just learned that we are getting some feds coming in. And I'd like to make sure that we don't have FBI agents from the city coming in here and falling in a hole. If that's okay with you, I'm hoping that you can be the one to help them out because you're not one of the local people, but you know the desert.
Yeah, I think I can help with that for sure. I got to be honest, I was getting enthusiastic about this search and rescue, but I understand that somebody's gotta babysit them. They'll go stomping around and get themselves bit by a rattlesnake or something foolishness.
Yeah,
Um,
well, they're probably going to end up being involved in the search too, unless they find something that we haven't found already. But I mean, I'm hoping that they're going to come out and help us search the ranch where the people are missing from. So we'll see when they get here. But they're going to be here in a few hours, so let's get some food. We'll do it. We'll bring you in on the briefing for them, and you can help them out.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes an interview session, knowing feds.
Well, whether you accept that or not, that is up to you. But they will be here in a few hours, I'm told. So, all right, and let's hop back over to Phoenix at the impound yard. So you go to the impound yard for state police, where they end up, where the vehicles end up when they've picked them up off the highway, abandoned vehicles. They tell you that there are 2 cars that were registered to tourists, international tourists. They were being used to, just sightsee the country. As the police at the impound yard are looking up, this car was registered to Dita and Vera Van Olsen. And actually, okay, and the other one was actually locals. This was one of the first ones found. So this car was the personal car, actually, of Alan and Karen Kirtley. And these are people who just disappeared. We found their cars. We didn't find the people. You can go ahead and take a look at the cars if you want. The Kirtley's car just had, a couple of sets of fingerprints on it. The other one had so many fingerprints that I don't know that we'll ever know whose all they are, but because that was a rental car.
Okay. Do we already have the file with what has been found by the state police on us?
They'll give you the
So
reports on the forensic
Okay, over there.
on these cars. Yep. So they have
Okay.
that there, and they give them to you.
Oh,
Basically, they found no blood, no bodily fluids. They did a luminol. They checked for fibers. They didn't find anything very strange.
okay.
But you are welcome to do either forensics or bureaucracy roll if you want,
Let me
as you're
check.
looking over the paperwork and the cars.
I'll do a forensics roll if that's
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
17.
All right. Yeah, that's pretty good. So you think that they actually did a fairly thorough job. The Kirtley's car had a lot of things like dog hairs. It was a family car. There was a lot of old dirt in it, but there wasn't anything that seemed out of place. There's a lot of trace evidence there, but none of it flags anything for you. And you're looking, you're comparing, you're looking at the car. You're trying to make sure they didn't miss anything. You're looking under the seats. You think they did a pretty good job, and you don't see anything out of place. That's the car that has more on it, in terms of things that they found but didn't flag anything. And then the rental car, lots of fingerprints, but it was fairly clean, and there wasn't anything out of place. No blood, no bodily fluids. Nothing was left, nothing was damaged. You look at the damage reports as well, that come with rental cars, that says, oh, hey, this already had this ding, so you're not getting charged when you bring it back. Nothing inconsistent. This car wasn't in a wreck. You see that the cars were both found with plenty of gas still in them. The batteries were not dead. They were fully operational.
So she kind of reaches over and taps on the papers and they did a really good job with checking these out. But it doesn't look like there would be any reason for these cars to be left where they were. They're not out of gas. They're not, don't have any mechanical issues that we're aware of. So why would they just ditch them?
Well, perhaps they were lured away by someone. To stretch a highway, you can set up a roadblock, perhaps, makeshift, and get somebody to get out of a car.
Right, that's something to remember. Okay, so nothing we can get from those cars, right? There is no point
I heard
in.
bureaucracy roll. Is that still on the table?
You can, yeah, you can certainly
All right.
to look over the paperwork, make sure it hasn't been, messed with.
I mean, I'll give it a shot. It's only 40. Let's see. Nope, 90 over 40.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I
damn.
mean, you look at it, you don't see anything out of place, but it does look to you like, everything was done above board with your 40. If there was anything egregiously wrong with these papers, you would just know. I will tell you that as the handler. Yeah.
Well, that satisfies me then.
Well, okay, let's keep in mind that at least the job was done by the state police. That's a good point. I don't think we should, I won't say waste, but I don't think we should waste any more time here. Perhaps we can get more information directly on you. So, should we go, or is there anything else? Evelyn, you can give us on the forensic, or it's good.
Is there anything related to the area in which the cars were found on these, like footprints around the area or anything like that?
That would be more in the police reports and
Okay.
the actual case
Mhm.
briefing. This is just the
Okay.
report on what they found on the car when they processed it here in Phoenix. So you wouldn't know that stuff till you get to, get the full briefing document. But
Okay.
yeah, they did make a note that, like there was, the cars were just found
Okay.
abandoned. There wasn't anything else around when they found them. So there was no sign that, they had been forced off the road or anything.
All right. Well, why don't we guys go over there? Just let's go stop at the office real quick. I would love to get a coffee before we go meet with the state police,
Yep.
I'm not too thrilled about that, but let's get this over with.
All right, let's get some coffee and play nice, everyone.
Very nice, yes.
Okay, so breakfast, coffees, a nice long drive through the well, it's early, so it's not the heat of the day yet, but through the desert. It's about 3.5 hours to get from Phoenix out to San Carlos. So you end up at the San Carlos Tribal Police substation on the res, and when you get there, you're escorted into what passes for a bullpen in this little tiny police substation. And when you get there, you see someone in the National Park Service uniform, you see someone in the Tribal State Police uniform, and you see Major Garrett, who is the head of the state police in this area. So Major Garrett comes up to you guys right away. Ah, yeah, good to see y'all. Nice to have some technical assistance from the Bureau. You guys are just here to help, though, right? Not gonna be horning in on the case.
Hello, I'm
Yeah,
Agent
exactly.
Sappington. Yeah, we were specifically told not to step on any toes and just to give assistance. And that's exactly what we shall do, I promise.
All right. Well, I'm Major Garrett. That there is Chief Colorados of the Tribal Police, and then we've got somebody to help you in case we end up out in the desert here. One of our wonderful National Park Service members, Mariela, has been excellent so far. Yeah, so we'll just give you the case, I guess. He goes and grabs a folder full of documents and shoves them at you. And well, go ahead and make either a human roll if you have that, or psychology. Is it psychology or psychoanalysis? You can do either one of those if you want.
All right, I
Just
have
try to get
60.
a read on the room.
Does 60 require a roll?
No, you clock this right away, Mr. Sappington, that this is the tribal police office, and Major Garrett is running around like he's in charge out here. And Chief Colorados is like leaned against a desk with his arms crossed and just kind of rolls his eyes behind Major Garrett's back, and they clearly do not get along. So that much you probably all kind of get. Does anybody want to roll and see if they get some sort of critical success? And also, what's their read on you, Mariela? What are you looking like when they walk in?
Probably looks fairly serious, dedicated to her job, just kind of trying to be as professional as possible. She's well prepared, and everything is kind of in order as far as like badge and everything. She's got a bag full of like useful stuff, sidearm and so forth. You could tell that she's kind of like, I guess, the Girl Scout, really, Eagle Scout, I should say. Yeah, like the be prepared motto.
What do the other two of you have? Did you want to roll?
I too have 60 on human.
Okay. Yep. So you notice the same thing right away. The other thing that you'll probably get as they hand over, a case file to you, and you guys start to parse out the documents, is that they want you here, but they don't. Both of them. The one who is way more about this being a pissing contest is probably Major Garrett. So he's the one that you're going to have to kind of manage. Underneath everything, Chief Colorado's he's not a big fan of Major Garrett's, obviously, but he looks worried, like he looks serious when he's not rolling his eyes at Major Garrett. And I will give you that case file now so you guys can read about all the lovely disappearances you get to investigate.
I think I would walk up to Mariela and just offer a handshake. If I see that they're serious, that would please me.
She reaches out and gives you a firm handshake. She's kind of, you could tell she's kind of like consciously like trying to make sure she gives you a firm one. And she goes, are you wearing any kind of like identification on you or no? I mean, I imagine you don't, right?
I guess I would have my badge.
Yeah, you're probably not wearing it, but yeah, you definitely have it.
It would just be in my pocket, I guess.
I guess what I'm really asking is if I would know your name. Did they say it when they came in?
If you overheard me introduce myself as Agent Sappington, you would have. If you're standing there, so I guess you would have heard it.
Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah, so it'd be like Agent Sappington. Shakes your hand firmly, gives you a nod with this overly large brimmed ranger hat.
Are you our guide for today?
You could think of me as that, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time out.
I'll try to keep you from running into any Gila monsters.
My psychotherapy roll absolutely bombed, by the way. So
okay.
I think Evelyn's just kind of staring off into space, and she just kind of gives everybody like an equal handshake, like, "Hi, I'm Evelyn."
Dissociation.
Yes.
What's up? Everything's fine. Everyone loves each other.
Where's the coffee?
Yeah. Maybe you're still waking up. Yeah. They do have some coffee. It's a police station.
Ah, nice. Finally, some good news.
And it probably takes you guys a little while to read through all the documents they've given you.
All right, I will begin. Brief summary of facts. 13 people are suspected of having been abducted in the last month in the area of U.S. Route 70 on the San Carlos Apache Indian Reservation. There were no signs of violence in any of these cases. No known enemies. No valuables missing except for whatever each victim had on their person. No contact from the perpetrators or victims. No suspects. The missing. July 4th, Alan and Karen Kirtley. Their car was found abandoned on U.S. Route 70 en route to their son's house. July 6th, Felix Royos, gas station attendant working the night shift on U.S. Route 70. July 10th, Ed Stoltz and Chris Martin. They were fishing at the reservoir near U.S. Route 70. The campsite was undisturbed. Around July 15th, Rolf Trautner and Frieda Allenberg, German tourist, rental car found abandoned on U.S. Route 70. Around July 15th again, Dieter and Vera Van Olsen, Dutch tourist, rental car was found abandoned on Route 70. And finally, around July 27th, the Begay family of 4, ranch near U.S. Route 70, found abandoned at least a week.
So for Alan and Karen Kirtley, Alan Kirtley, white male, age 57, owner of Domes and Ready Roofing Company with 30 full-time employees in Santa Fe, New Mexico. A medium-sized contractor doing primarily home repair. Karen Kirtley, white female, age 53, employed full-time at her husband's business as an accountant bookkeeper. They have no outstanding debts. The company has no ties to crime. Their son, Brian Kirtley, age 32, living in Phoenix, Arizona, has no financial problems that will require him to advance his inheritance in some way. By all accounts, the Kirtley has good relationships with family and business associates. So we have Felix Royos, Hispanic male, age 20, high school dropout who has worked at a number of unskilled labor positions since his 16th birthday. Several juvenile arrests for possession of alcohol by a minor, curfew violation, and criminal mischief. No non-criminal association since his 18th birthday. His older brother, Enrico Royos, age 24, has 2 convictions for grand theft, both plea bargained down from armed robbery.
Ed Stoltz and Chris Martin. Ed Stoltz was a white male, age 32, mechanic for Greyhound bus lines, married to Laverne Stoltz, age 29, 1 child, Timothy, age 3. Chris Martin, white male, age 30, assistant manager at True Value Hardware Store in Tempe, Arizona, single. Both men are natives of Phoenix and went to the same high school. They went fishing at San Carlos Lake at least once a month. Neither man has criminal record or any criminal associations. Rolf Trautner and Frieda Ohlenberg. Rolf Trautner, nationality German, white male, age 22. Frieda Ohlenberg, nationality German, white female, age 22. Both recently finished their 3-year national service commitment in Germany and were taking a short vacation prior to attending university. Neither have any friends or relatives in the United States. They had been traveling by bus and train and had been in the United States for 2 weeks.
Dieter van Olsen, nationality Dutch, white male, age 65, retired vice president for petroleum exploration, Royal Dutch Shell Corporation, spending his retirement seeing the world. His wife, Vera, age 60, is a homemaker. They had been touring the United States by car for the past 3 months. They have no connections or contacts with anyone in the Southwest, but they did have reservations to stay near the Grand Canyon 4 days before their car was found. The Bigay family, Victorio Bigay, Native American male, age 42, his wife, Luisa, age 38, and their sons, Luca, age 13, and Paco, age 15. Victorio Bigay is a respected member of the Apache community, owning 200 sheep, 30 hectares of property, 2 pickup trucks, and a home big enough to give his children their own rooms. He has no enemies, either personal or business. Luisa and both his sons work their ranch full-time. Their relations in the community are good, and no member of the family has a criminal record.
So you see what we're dealing with here. We've got people from all across the spectrum, all walks of life. Most of them have no criminal associations whatsoever. You know, there's no sign of them. They're just missing.
And these rental cars, are they all rented from the same company?
No, we checked that out. The tourist rental cars were from different places.
Okay.
Yeah, they were coming from different places, heading different places. So.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so nothing in common. That's great.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe serial killer or satanic cult.
Well, serial
Sure.
killers usually have a target they're after, a type, should I say.
You would know better than I.
You have men and women here, you have old and young. There's no real connection that I can see.
Yeah, it almost feels like they were at the wrong place at the wrong time. That would be the only thing I see. But is there anything else we have, or that's literal all?
Well, I guess my next question would be, it's called the Devil's Highway. Has there been missing before here? Why is it called this?
Oh no, that's the press. You're gonna probably run into them if you hang around here long enough. They've been starting to come around this case.
Oh, great.
They got wind. So the press has gotten it. That's why you probably seen it on the news. And that's the nickname they're giving it now. They're like, "Oh, beware the Devil's Highway."
So this nickname is recent and it's not going years
Yeah,
back.
no,
Okay, I see.
you know, has to do with the case. That's why. That's probably why you're here. Everybody and their brother wants this taken care of as soon as possible. But right now I don't have a lot. I've got theories and no evidence so far. Um, and as far as like where the case is right now, so our resources are stretched real thin. We've got this really wide stretch of highway that this stuff has happened along. We can't search everything. Even now that the tribal police are involved and the Chief Colorado's is going to have his people searching, part of their area. We're going to be searching part of our area. But, if somebody grabbed a body, dragged it off and buried it in the desert, that's, I don't know. That would take forever. So we're doing some searches, but they have to be targeted. We don't have anything so far. This is real recent with the family that went missing, at least as far as we heard about it, right, Chief? And Colorado's is like, yes. So we just got that report yesterday. So what has happened so far is we sent some of the tribal police over to the ranch to confirm that it was empty. The family was not there. So they found the house empty. They didn't see anyone in like a quick walk around the property, but we haven't done a full search of the property yet. So that is our next step there with the Begays. And then we were going to do some flyovers, see if we can see anything from sky. But I don't have a lot of people for that. If you want to take over that, that's fine.
Is there any reasons that you can think of that there would be a sudden jump in the number of abductions at this point? Because we went from a handful every few days to suddenly all of these on the 15th, supposedly.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it doesn't seem to be following any sort of, prescribed pattern that you can think of. As far as I understand it, serial killers, they're sick in the head. It's a cult, who knows what their, motivation is. Maybe they got a big ritual or something.
Well, it is a fair point to bring up. Both the people on groups of people on the 15th, they were not American. They were not Americans, and if that makes any difference.
And of course, that was just when with the rental car, that was just when we found it. If it was staged, if it was left, who knows? The only problem is, we did forensics on the vehicles we found and didn't flag anything in the system. If we've found fingerprints already from somebody, they aren't known as a threat so far.
So far, all we can do is either the house, the Begay house, or the flyover. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're free to check out, around the various scenes if you want, but that's what our next steps are if you want to help.
Okay.
And do you see any possibility that they perhaps are setting up makeshift roadblocks and luring these people out of their cars?
That probably not. It's a busy enough stretch of highway,
Okay.
even at night. We got truckers that come through. So, if there had been like, some stuff across the road, trying to like stop a car like that, and we didn't find any, damage on the vehicles either. That's the other thing. But yeah, they could have, set up on the side of the road as like a person in distress.
Okay.
But if there had been any sort of blockage of the road, I think a trucker would have probably, it doesn't seem likely. It could have been, but it doesn't seem likely.
All right, I'm just trying to make some sense of this information.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
Well, I'm not much interested in doing a flyover. I'd rather look at the ranch. So I don't speak for everyone.
I know no one asked me, but I think we should check out the BK family estate first. It's the only one that seems to break the pattern in terms of people disappearing off the road with vehicles. The whole idea that somebody set up an ambush of some kind seems very reasonable, except for the fact that the entire family would not likely be off the ranch at one time. For them to disappear from their home, that's the one that breaks the pattern the most. So if we're going to find forensic evidence, it's probably going to be there.
Yeah, I agree. This is the first step we should do. And what do you say, Evelyn?
I think that's a wonderful idea. It's less likely to be disturbed, and after that, maybe we can go check out the places where the cars have been found.
Yeah.
All
All right,
right,
let's do
okay. Well, I just ask that y'all keep me in the loop. Anything you find, it's a joint investigation so far. So depending on where it goes.
Right. Yeah. Cooperation, right? Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, here's the number. You can reach me. And just give me an update tomorrow if you find anything.
Can we get the
And
number for Chief Colorado as well?
yeah, he's like, oh, I can come with you if you want.
That's perfect.
Yeah, show you where the ranch is. But yes, this will be the place to reach us, and he'll give you the card, with his name for the station, the local police number. And so Major Garrett leaves, and everyone breathes a sigh of relief. At least everyone who knows him well. And then if you guys don't have any other business or any other questions, Chief Colorados will show you where the ranch is.
To the ranch we go.
Sorry, what year did you say it was? 94?
Yep, 94.
Okay. What's the chances of having national parks owned, but I'm allowed to use 1994 Ford Ranger?
If you want, I have no issue with that. It's your work vehicle.
It's out front and it's cool for a work vehicle.
So yeah, and Chief Colorados has his truck. I assume the agents, just get into the probably black sedan that they've been shooting. And you head over to the ranch. So as you reach the ranch, there is an empty farm style house, not too far up where, like where the drive ends. So he'll drive you up to that. And it actually kind of looks abandoned at this point. It's a little bit dusty. All the windows are dark. And then you have, some sheep in a field nearby. And there's, as you drive up, another car kind of pulls up behind you guys. And you see a much older Native American gentleman gets out and kind of comes over and starts to talk to Chief Colorados. And you guys are free to do whatever you want to do, but that's what you see as you get up there.
When I get closer to hear this conversation.
They
Yeah, I'm
are
following along.
speaking in the Apache language.
Kind of hit my foot on the ground. Like, damn it. All right.
But if you approach, I mean, they may talk to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna approach and say, "Is everything all right, gentlemen?"
Oh yeah. So Chief Colorados goes, John, these are the feds that came to help us out with this. You guys, this is John Rope. He's the one who called in the disappearance, and I wanted to have him maybe tell you in his own words what we found. And John Rope is this much older gentleman. He's very worn. He has the look of a rancher. He has a rancher's truck and a rancher's clothing. Like, yeah, I live over there. Just a few miles that way is my ranch. And I heard from Vittorio a little over a week ago that he had some sheep go missing. Not found dead. Not like a wild animal got them, just missing. And I didn't even think about it, being something with these disappearances of people. But he said he was going to stay up all night and see if he could catch who was stealing his sheep, because that was the thought, was that they were being stolen, right? And then I didn't see them, and I have my own ranch. I'm working it alone, so busy life. But when I finally came over to check up on them, I found that nobody was here, and that's not normal. They're always here. So that's when I called it in to the police.
And have you
Okay,
had
so-
similar problems? Any sheep ears gone missing?
No, I have alpaca, and I keep them inside. I was trying to get them to convert to alpaca. I think it's better. No.
Yeah, perhaps they would still be there if they had alpaca. I kind of say that to myself, not too loud. Okay, so sheep missing, and then they're missing.
And if this ranch is abandoned, who's caring for the livestock here now?
Well, I came over and fed them, this
Well,
morning,
that's very kind of you.
but someone else will have to see to that eventually, because I've got my own ranch. And Chief
Yeah.
Colorado steps in and he's like, the tribes will handle that. We'll see to it. You guys don't need to worry about that. But
And when you were feeding these sheep, did you notice any more had gone missing in the time?
oh,
Or is it too many to
no,
count? Don't let
I
me put you
guess
out,
not.
sir.
There's about, I know he had about 200. I didn't do a count, but I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah,
There
it's a
were
bit of a
more.
long shot, just, trying to check everything.
You're perfectly welcome to try and count the sheep.
Well, that might make me
It's a
go to
little
sleep, right?
difficult. They're moving around, but if you wanted to, you could certainly do it.
Yeah, I don't think I could help myself. He says 200. I'm gonna look.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, you see it's about 175 sheep.
All right.
So it doesn't look like there's probably been more disappearances, because he'll say about 25 sheep missing. Yeah. That's what
That
he
would satisfy me.
So if he was going to stay up and wait to see if someone would capture sheep or abduct sheep, I suppose, would he have stayed in the house or would he have set up in the barn to do that? So should we check the barn?
Well, they don't have much of a barn. They have like, a feed shed, but then they have you know, the hides for the sheep so they can get out of the sun. But yeah, they don't really, they pen them up, but as you can see,
Okay.
it's all pretty open. So there's not a lot of hiding places. And you can see their pasture from the house there, see? So he said he was going to set up on his porch there and have his rifle handy in case he needed it. And I told him don't be shooting anybody. But he said he was just going to scare them off, right?
Right. So no shit. So I guess we can go check the house now.
I guess before we leave, I would say, and gentlemen, we've been told to assist both sides of this conflict. Have the local people been treating you well? I noticed some tension in the briefing.
Chief Colorado smiles and he's like, "Oh, that's just Major Garrett all the time."
So is it just Garrett himself, or is it everybody?
It's mostly Garrett.
All right. Well, as I said,
He's
we're here to.
old-fashioned in a way that is not helpful to anything.
Does old-fashioned mean forgive me, racist?
Perhaps a little,
Well,
but don't tell him I said that.
we will keep it to
Oh, we never
ourselves.
heard anything.
No, as I said, we're here to mediate. So if there's any problems, I will do what I have to do to this man to make him not be, well, I guess I don't have any other word, an asshole.
I think that Major Garrett and I are both interested in solving the case, and so for now it's fine. I just don't want him, trying to take over prosecution of something that has happened to my people, because tribal sovereignty is something that we take very seriously out here.
Of course. Yeah, I was just making sure.
Okay. So the faster we solve this, the better for everyone.
When were the cars found?
Oh yeah. So there is a map I can give you. It would also be in your briefing, and it does mark where the vehicles are. Not the same places. This is a pretty wide stretch of highway that's been affected between like the gas station, this ranch, the places the cars were found. But what is next steps as I find that for you?
I'm gonna go to the barn, see if the gun was actually fired.
Oh, so you're gonna look around for like signs of like armed conflict.
Yep, he was setting up with the gun. He was waiting for someone. I want to see if there was actually a
So
fight.
it would be like around the pasture, maybe the feed shed. I mean that.
Okay.
Why don't you give me This is a strange role for this, but give me a military science land to
Okay.
like kind of look at this as like a tactical situation. If I was going to do this, if I was going to come and steal sheep, how would I do it?
All right, I got a 40. Let's see. 59 over 40. Nope.
Okay. So you're not sure, like, in terms of like, how would this maybe have happened if there was a firefight? Maybe, you got shot back or brought a gun, to the scene. But you do take a look around. What's your search?
My search is 50.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, it takes you a little bit of time walking around. So you kind of start from the porch maybe of the house. You head down, towards the pasture. You're looking at the porch, you don't see like anybody shot back to there, you know, but you figure they probably might have clocked that too. So there's no bullet holes in the ranch house. You go down towards where the sheep are penned up, and you've already counted them. You take a look, you don't see any injured sheep. You don't see any signs of like a struggle. You don't see any like footprints that seem out of place or like, drag marks or anything. But then again, if it was inside the sheep pen, sheep have been milling about. You go over by where the feed shed is. You don't see anything out of place there. The feed shed is locked, doesn't seem to have been messed with. And, there's like the overhangs where the sheep go to get out of the sun. There's nothing there that really obstructs view either. So like the only place to hide would be behind the feed sheds. And then there's like shearing stalls inside the larger feed shed or like supply shed. But nothing in there that you can see, like you don't see any blood, you don't see any signs of like, firearms being used. No bullet holes, no bullet casings.
All right.
Yeah, it's really creepily untouched. And were the rest of you, did you want to go inside the house or start searching the area?
Yeah, I go into the house. I see that Richard is going around outside, so I feel like splitting up in some way will make it more effective.
Okay.
I don't know if someone else come into the house or
Evelyn will follow her and kind of hold the door for her.
all right. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I think Mariela will also follow them, not wanting them to get too far out of sight, and she kind of choose the bigger group. I guess the only thing I can do is really just like keep my eyes open and like focus on just like being alert. I don't think there'd be any like environmental hazards here, like that they wouldn't know about. Like it's not like a particular kind of snake that like lives in your house. And, so like I don't think my nature stuff helps right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there hopefully isn't rattlers like right up by where there has recently been people. There could be. There always could be.
There's just a lot of scorpions,
Yeah. Not too bad though. Like this is definitely a worked ranch area, so you're not in the wilderness yet.
Okay.
All right. So what are you looking for inside?
Before that, how would you say is the ground floor set? What kind of house is this? Is this like, is there a floor? Is there a basement? Can you give us information on that?
Yeah,
or
it literally is like a single-story ranch style house. So it's got kind of like a shotgun setup, where there's a walkway that kind of runs front to back. You got the front porch, and then there's like a hallway that runs all the way through, and then it's like a dog run, and then you've got the mudroom in the back, and then you've got the towards the front you have like the living area, and then towards the back you have a couple of bedrooms. Well, 4 actually, I think, and one's being used as an office.
Okay, so 4 bedrooms. So single story means there's no upstairs?
Yep, there's no upstairs, and you don't find any sign of a basement as you search through either. So,
okay, 4 bedroom. I turn over to kind of realize that there's rooms to search. Sorry, so I kind of turn to Mariela and Evelyn. And okay, how do you guys want to do this? Do we stay together, or do we? I know it's not a big house, but I feel like the faster we get this done, the better for everyone. So kind of look at them in a way of, do you want to split, or do we do this all together, one by one in terms of rooms?
I don't mind us sticking together. I thought
Okay.
the purpose of this was to give the federal agent and the forensic investigator a chance to look things over. On our level, we've already searched, so I'm just here to.
Okay. Great.
Evelyn just kind of nods and she's like, "Well, let's do it together then. Let's take it room by room and figure out what happened here." It does seem strange that these people had small children, but there's no signs of struggle. It's like they just walked out. It
Right.
makes me wonder if maybe they knew the people that were abducting them or something to that effect.
Yeah, that's a good point. I kind of Judith kind of take notes, like she writes down on her like little notebook, did they know them or something like that. So familiarity. All right. So you did say that we get into, like, there's a corridor and the room are on the side. Is that what I understood, right? Or
Yes, everything's on
Okay.
to one side or other of the hallway. So, like in the front, you've got like the kitchen and then the living room on opposite
Okay.
side. On towards the back of the house, you've got the two boys' rooms, the parents' room, and then the office.
Would you say that one specific room give a window to the chips? Like you could see the chip from one of the room? Is there a room like that, or I don't know if you see what I mean?
Yeah, actually, so the first son's bedroom, you could kind of get an angle on part of the sheep,
Okay.
pasture where they've been holding them at least. But mostly the front rooms is where you would see, the windows in the front rooms would be more where you would see the sheep from.
Okay, so we will start there, if that's okay with you guys. It seems like they have a view on the chips, and perhaps they set camp there to see what's going on in the field. So let's start there with search, if that's okay.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and all roll search if you're in the house.
82 over 40.
Nice. I'm actually good at search. I got a 53, which is under, which I guess is the right way, right? Under 60.
Okay. Yeah, and what would Mariela be looking for?
Well, if we're searching around, I think that her sort of attunement would be more toward like knowing more about like what a family, in a ranch family like might do, like like what kind of stuff would be out of place, for such a tight knit like tribal group. Like I think that would be more her expertise rather than, I don't know, like anything really like truly forensic.
Right. Okay, so out of place, you notice as you're going through, are you just kind of searching the whole house, kind of following after them? Or are you focusing on bedrooms or?
Yeah, I'd just be kind of looking while I'm there, attending to them. I mean, I think the whole idea is like we keep an eye on them, not that we suspect they're going to plant evidence or something, but it's just that like we want to know what they're doing and what they're touching. And like this is like even though I'm not like a member of the tribe, like this is like our people's like homes, and it's kind of like, I don't know. So I feel like I'd be sticking to them. So I'd just be looking wherever they're at.
One of the things that you notice, Mariela, as you come in, is that there's signs that there was a meal had and it was not completely cleaned up after. And the rest of the house seems to be a very clean place.
Yeah,
So,
I think that even if it was dirty, that would still be weird.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think I'll just make kind of offhand mention of it, and they'll be like, "Now that's highly unusual."
Yep. So how did Evelyn do on her search for Judith? Okay, so Evelyn failed, right? And
Yeah, spectacularly.
right.
Making up for that nat 1.
How did you do, Judith?
I did a 35 over under my search is 70, and I
Oh,
did 35.
all right. And then what are you looking for? What's your focus?
I would be looking for perhaps notes, paper. I don't know these people. I don't really know this community, so
Okay, yeah.
I'm
So I
really
think,
looking for like, did they take notes or anything, perhaps pictures, something. So I might look next to the window. I would be like, if I'm looking at my chip, I will set a chair next to the window. Perhaps there's something over there. I don't know. That kind of
okay.
stuff.
Yeah, so one of the things that you notice is that there's a chair set out on, on the front porch,
Mm-hmm.
where you might, watch the sheep overnight, potentially. You do not find a gun. So if he had a rifle, like the rifle is missing. Yeah, you do not find that. Um, the other thing you do clock, like the not entirely maybe cleaned up kitchen from
Okay.
whatever the last meal was. So you notice that. You kind of see that as you go by. But I think you end up in the office then. So you find basically like their bookkeeping records for the ranch,
Mm-hmm.
and you see some notations from uh, probably the wife. It looks like a more feminine hand.
Okay.
And she's been keeping records of, what's going on at the ranch. And you see that she's been noting down when sheep were going missing. And it was happening not all at once, not like somebody came and rustled up 25 sheep one night. But this was a thing that happened over like the course of a couple of weeks that they noticed, okay, we have a couple of sheep missing, and then there's another one and a couple more.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Yep.
so it's gradual.
Yeah.
Hmm. Is there any other commentary on those sheep, or is it just like day X 3 sheeps missing? Or is it more like there's comments on perhaps details such as I don't know, there was a scream in the night or something like that?
Yeah, no, so there's nothing like that.
Mhm.
You don't see any notes about like, they just, that there wasn't any bodies found at the sheeps, that they thought these were being stolen.
Okay.
But when you look at what she's doing there, as she notes these down, you see some like notes in the margin that look like her doing math, like she's doing math off to the side in the margins of this ledger. And so you think that they were starting to get worried about like, the viability of their business,
Okay.
because they were losing more and more sheep and they didn't know how. So that's the sense you get from looking over her records.
Okay, so they started to panic in some way about
Yeah,
those missing sheep.
they were definitely worried. She was looking at like, this affecting the business, which makes it make
Okay.
sense that he would want to, try to stay up and find out what's happening and protect the flock.
Okay. So I go back to, I guess there's nothing else I see, right? I see the bookkeeping in the office.
Yeah,
Okay.
not a lot out of place in here. Everything looks like, they were just living their lives and disappeared one day and maybe didn't clean
That's
up
great.
dinner. Yep.
Okay. I go back to Mariela and Evelyn. I don't take anything from the office. I'm just like, okay, well, they were keeping track. I feel like the wife was keeping track of the missing chip. It was not instant, like it seems to happen over a few weeks, but they seem to be getting worried about that. Perhaps, I don't know, the viability, I would say, since it's their business. And also from the porch, I didn't find the rifle. Like, if there was a gun, it's not there anymore. Plus, and she points to the kitchen. That unfinished dinner,
You said
and she
going,
kind of, yeah.
you said going back 3 weeks. Was there a date of the first missing sheep?
Do we have a first date on the bookkeeping?
Let's see. Yes. So, the first date would have probably been around July 8th.
Okay.
And it was just kind of gradual, like every few days they missed some more sheep.
Okay. So I turn back to Mariela. Well, apparently July 8th will be the first. And she kind of thinks to herself, July 8th. So that would have been the beginning of the disappearance, right?
It's within the window of like when people started going missing too. Yeah.
It takes place after the first people disappearances. Kind of what I was wondering about is whether or not this was a lead-in, because it gives us maybe a time frame. Another out of kind of character thing, I think of dinner as 5 p.m. ish. Would I know, like, if this family would have eaten dinner later as like an active ranching family?
No, probably earlier. Yeah.
Okay.
Ranch life is probably a lot like farm life. You know, you get up earlier, you go to bed earlier. So that would be kind of, the way of things. So 5 p.m. would be probably perfectly on track, like whenever the sun starts to go down.
Okay, very interesting.
Granted, it's summer, so, the boys probably stayed up a little later. The sun's still up, and the family too, but
okay.
The other thing is you would definitely have, found that there was a gun case.
Yeah.
And if you
But no gun.
Yeah, you can find the keys. This family was fairly organized, everything seems to be in its place. They were neat, they were tidy. And that you get the sense that like this doesn't, strike you maybe as rich coming from Phoenix in the city, those of you who do. But for a family living on a reservation, they were fairly well off. So they had their own business. Everything was in order. You find keys. So you find the keys to the feed shed. You find the keys to the gun case. Those are put away. So you have to do a little searching to find those. But when you open the gun case, there is no rifle.
Speaking of keys, are the trucks still here?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nice. I suspected as much.
Yeah, they haven't been moved, but they also they'll do a forensic on them, but they weren't found out of place. They haven't been touched.
Can I see from one of the windows? Can I see Richard in the field since he was out? So I can see him. Okay. I tap on the window to try to catch his attention. Does he hear it, or
if I can hear it, I'll look over.
Okay.
And go ahead and make an alertness actually, because he's probably a little ways away in the sheep.
Okay, I have 50. Is that good?
Oh yeah, no. If you have 50, you're probably like your head's on a swivel anyway. So yeah, you see her come to the window. You may not hear the tap, but you see her come to the window.
All right, I side eye and take a note of it.
I sign to him. I try to sign to him to come over. If you can see me.
I guess I will enter the house now, so she's calling me in.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we kind of quickly search, not everything yet, but here's what we have now. There's a gun case that we don't know where it is, but we have the keys. The rifle is somehow, I guess, there's a gun missing in some way, and also they've been keeping tracks of the missing sheep, but it all started kind of a bit after the first disappearance. So is there a link between the two? I don't know, but this is kind of strange. Did you find something outside?
No, the outdoors is completely undisturbed. There's no sign of struggle, no bullet holes. No, the gun was never fired. It's just like the cars. It looks like they just got lured away, walked away. I don't know what to make of this.
And this is weird because there's this dinner that is unfinished also in the kitchen. I don't know what, Mariela, what do you make of this? Evelyn too. I don't know what did you guys find, but this is way too, in my opinion, too clean. It's really like they just poof, they disappear into thin air.
Yeah, that's the strangest thing about it. I don't know how you guys grew up, but in my household, leaving food on your plate alone is unthinkable, much less not cleaning up your place. Additionally, if worst comes to worst, we would have found another use for the food, and living on a ranch, that seems quite easy to do, seeing as how this food was just left here on the table. And there's no sign of anything, and we know theft isn't a motive. Um, the only thing you could even begin to sort of explain it would be like a mirage or something. There's all sorts of desert phenomenon, but people here have water. Um, so I think, I mean, it still doesn't fit. But I feel like people wandering, the desert and getting lost is certainly a thing. Just not with communities and not with people who have working capable vehicles that they could have otherwise taken.
No,
Yeah, I feel like that's the weird part of this one. It's they're from here, they're used to all this. It just doesn't add up for me. I don't know. She kind of not look in the distance, but lose a slight bit of composure because there's really nothing that we have our hands on. It's all too weird for her.
Yeah. So Chief Colorados has finished talking with John Rope, and John Rope goes back to his property. The chief comes in now and kind of like leans in and says to you all, so we were gonna search, more of the land that they have, like their grazing land when the sheep are out. If you wanted to come along for that,
I would. They had to have walked off to somewhere.
Are you all good with going along with that now?
I'm kind of worried to leave the house not properly entirely searched, but at the same point, Judith feels like there's nothing she could find by herself, so she
Well,
turns to
you are a
yeah.
trained FBI agent, so if you want to actually process the house as like a crime scene, then that can definitely be what you're doing. So then you'd be like doing things like dusting for prints and just going through methodically and, trying to find any small trace evidence that you can. That would be forensics, but you can certainly do that. It's going to take you some time. So if so, you probably won't be searching the property. It's up to you.
Okay. Well,
If you don't, the tribal police will do it. But if you
Okay.
want to make sure that that's done correctly to your specifications as an agent, then that's going to be your scene. So that would be like the more involved, time intensive stuff. If you want to do that, you're welcome to do that.
I turn to Richard. You make the call. What's the best route we should take?
I say, yeah, you should probably make a thorough inspection of this place.
Okay, so we
And
split up.
you were immediately drawn to the house. There must be something here.
Yeah, I feel like we could split up on that. You the outdoor, I the indoor. As for Mariela and Evelyn, what would you like to do for that? I feel like I should stay here. There's something to this house that we don't see yet to me.
Evelyn kind of nods with Judith and she goes, "Yeah, I'm not much for hiking anyway. I'll stay with Judith this time, yeah."
What do you say, Mariela? Do you want to take the lead on this out in the outdoors?
Well, I suppose I can show you around the property. It's not much I can show you personally, but we can definitely drive around and take a gander, whatever you feel might be pertinent.
I mean, it's a ranch. There's enough property here that is technically theirs, inside their fence line that you can't see it all. Like you can see where they've penned up the sheep. They've got them all, near the house where they can keep track of them. But when they let them out to graze, when it's the growing season, when everything's not dead and they're not feeding them feed, then, that's quite a lot of property out there that the sheep are roaming across. And there's plenty of areas that you can't see from the house on the property.
Well, Mariela, I spend most of my time in this city. It looks a lot bigger to me than it probably does to you. So,
No,
Oh yeah.
it's certainly big. I suppose we can maybe drive around the perimeter. I don't really know how to narrow down a search of land for a way that would be relevant to you.
well, how about you just do it as you would normally do it, and I'll keep an eye out, and I'll do it as I normally do it.
Sure. I guess we'll take a truck and we'll just kind of drive around. I would imagine that I'd want to be sort of trying to go near the perimeter. So maybe it would be kind of off at the farther end of what we would consider like our eyesight, just to allow us to sort of almost like a lawnmower, just kind of like sweep around and just kind of like just see what, I don't know. I have no
Okay.
idea what a federal
Yeah.
agent looks
It makes sense. So Mariela has a vehicle that is totally capable. Not that, the chief's truck isn't capable, but yours is nicer by far. So yeah, and Colorado's is like, shall I come with you, or do you want me to go the other direction?
I think
Um,
oh, I start to talk, then I stop immediately. So it feels like I have to lead to Mariela.
let's say, well, why don't we all go together? Maybe we can brainstorm something. Keep in mind, I don't know much about criminology, so maybe between the three of us, we can put some pieces together.
Sounds good. I'll let you drive. Yeah,
All right.
so he'll pile in with you two. And yeah, so go ahead and you're gonna basically like follow the fence line, right?
Yeah,
Out the property. Yeah, okay. That way you kind of know where the perimeters are of it, and then you could close in from there. Why don't you guys go ahead and make me either search or survival?
Okay. I have
All right.
no.
And yeah, you will have to roll because you're trying to do this from a vehicle.
It's the same for me, no matter which skill. I got 44. That's a crit, right?
Yes, excellent. Okay,
Rolled
so
a 13 under 50 for my search.
yeah. So we have 3 successes, one of them a critical. So Mariela, as you drive out, along the fence line into the property, as you get, like past, you're way away from the house. You're past the side of it. You cannot see the ranch house anymore. You see that there's sort of like a dip in the land that goes down, and you're able to kind of like see, like the slope of it because you're going from the fence line. But you see down past that slope, you see there's some signs that there are a couple of vultures landed over there.
Oh, I head straight there, but I try to do so in like a calm enough. I just try to
Just kind of roll up there.
maintain my speed. The idea being that when they scatter, I want to be close enough that I can still go exactly where they were.
Yeah, don't spook them too early.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, and as you get closer, because this is from miles off that you saw this. This is not near the fence line. It's off into the property. Just happens to have been down this kind of slope away from the house. And you see that there are what look like some disturbed mounds of earth. Like some holes have been dug. But like not filled in holes, like holes that have been dug in the ground.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll roll up and kind of put the van in park, use the emergency and the handbrake, and do the whole do the whole proper by the book procedure. And I'll invite the chief to step out, of course, and just say, let's look over here. There appears to be evidence that somebody was maybe going to bury something. And I, of course, immediately begin looking for what I believe would be maybe sheep bodies.
Yeah, so you can't like get too close without, like totally spooking the vultures that are there.
Oh, okay.
That have landed. But yeah, you get as close as you can. and you guys disembark. And so as you walk up, you realize that these are not empty holes.
Oh.
Yep. There's definitely.
Do I have?
Yep. There's some bodies.
I just see stuff, or do I hear?
So as you walk up, the vultures kind of, like lazily take flight away because you've been trying not to disturb them. Yeah, and you see the first, disturbed mound that you walk up to looks like it's the dug up shallow grave of a sheep. Like somebody buried a sheep and then dug it up again.
Well, I'll just sort of you can see the disgust just creep across her face. She goes, "Oh, we completely missed this before."
Yeah, well, I swear the deputies I sent out said they did a perimeter check. They didn't see anything like this at the time.
Well, I mean, we only saw it because the buzzards, but perhaps the corpses were too fresh at that time. I don't know. There's these have been the more recent sheep. There's probably holes all over the property now. I mean,
well, go ahead and what's you guys' alertness, or sorry, no, search.
I got a 60 in search.
Okay.
My search is 50.
Yeah, so as you kind of look across this field with these, you knew there were multiple of them. You see that there are about 26 mounds here.
I kind of sigh and I say, well, 25 sheep went missing, so that means one of these might not be a sheep.
Yeah, one's a little bigger than the others. The other thing is, so you said your survival is 70, is that correct, Mariela?
Survival, let's see what I get. No, 60 for that as well.
Okay, that's 60. So as you start to you've walked up to one of these, you're kind of taking a look at what exactly has happened here. You realize that this was not dug up by a person, although who knows who, what buries a thing other than, a person, maybe a killer, potentially. That makes sense to you, but what dug it up was an animal.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. It doesn't look like it was dug up by a shovel.
No, not at all. This is definitely animal digging that has uncovered, these bodies. They're not completely uncovered.
Oh, okay.
But they are uncovered, and they don't look disturbed by an animal. Like once you clock, that this is an animal that's been digging here to uncover these bodies, you're like, okay, well, was something trying to eat them? You see, evidence of buzzards, and you see evidence of insects starting to set in. Like these are things that you've seen before in your work when you've come across maybe a dead animal, out in the parks. But you do not see the animal that you expect, because you know that those are coyotes that dug up the bodies. These are all coyote paw print, coyote digging. It's the only thing that makes sense, and you're pretty certain of that with your 60. But you do not see any evidence of a coyote trying to eat these sheep.
Chief, I think this is, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here. I know my Arizona state wildlife. These are coyote prints.
Yep, coyote.
Mm-hmm. They dug probably not the initial grave, but they've exhumed the bodies. For what purpose?
I don't know.
To help the birds eat? Doesn't it strike you as strange?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all.
They didn't consume the corpses. They're predators. That's the number one thing. That's the only reason they would invest their energy in digging these bodies up, would be to eat them.
Exactly.
So something spooked them when they discovered the bodies then. So we have scared sheep, scared people, and scared coyotes.
Well, guys, keep in mind one of these is larger than the other.
I didn't think this case could get any stranger.
We might need to dig this up ourselves.
Mr. Sappington, you may not be, much of a country person, but I think this screams of something just completely. Any and all standard motives are out of the question, right?
Well, yes, but as I said, one of these burials is bigger than the other. It's not a sheep in there. We need to look immediately.
I think he's right. We gotta go.
Do we have like radios that we can be contacting each of the groups with? Like, was
You do
that
have cell phones, and as you look, like you see if any of you are looking to check because you want to check in. Yeah, you get service. You may want to do radios to keep in contact with Mariela as you go about your various businesses, but you city folks, you have cell phones. Bureau provided, of course.
Is it one of those giant 80s one where you pull out the antenna?
Yeah, it's like, well, it's not an antenna, but yeah, they're the brick phones. They're the Nokias or whatever, yeah. You can call back to the house if you want.
All right, but I'm like really, I want to look at this grave.
Right, yeah. So what you've got here is you've got a bunch of disturbed, like sheep graves, and then there's a mound that has been partly disturbed as well, that looks larger, and it's kind of the furthest from you. So yeah, so I assume you guys are going over there to take a look.
Because I'm thinking that family had to go somewhere.
Yes, and so unfortunately, as you approach that last slightly larger shallow grave, you do find 4 bodies, 4 human corpses, and yeah, you get to make sand rolls.
I was gonna say, is it sand roll?
Uh-huh.
Okay, let me check here. I believe I have 65.
Uh-oh.
Nope, I rolled a 90 over 65.
Okay, well, let's see then. How's Mariela doing?
I gotta roll under my current then, I suppose.
Yes, under your current if you want
Nope,
to.
I got 95 over 60.
Okay. Yeah, so it's just one because it's just corpses. So you can mark a check for violence on your sheet, because this is the result, the aftermath of violence that you are seeing. As you take in the fact that there are 4 bodies in here, especially you, Mariela, and of course Chief Colorados, who also failed his sand test. and he gets a little bit more because he knows these people, but you do know Mariela from the pictures that you would have seen in the house, that this is definitely the Begay family. So they have been found and they are deceased.
Yeah, I think that it kind of jolts me, like, and I just to be like, is the gun here? For whatever reason, that's what my mind goes to. Is the gun here?
Nope, you don't see the gun. And as you take in these bodies, these 4 bodies, they look a little pale. They're definitely dead. You're not entirely sure why they're dead, though, at first glance. These are intact bodies. Probably the strangest thing about them is that they're pale. And these are Native American people, so they're naturally a little darker skinned. But they look pale compared to Chief Colorados.
And I guess I will get out my cell phone now, and it's more natural to call my partner, so I'll call Judith.
Okay, so why don't you guys go ahead and give me a forensics roll for the house, by the way, my lovely ladies of the house.
Yep, forensic. Okay. Well, unfortunately, I personally got a 50 over 30, so.
Okay. And how about Evelyn?
I got a 67 over 70.
Okay, so that just means it's taking you guys a long time, because you guys both know the process of like dealing with evidence and Evelyn is aware of forensics as well, like the things that are needed because she's done ME work. So yeah, it's taking you guys a longer time than you thought to process it. Maybe you're finding a little bit more, than you were bargaining on, considering the house is so clean. But there's a lot of trace evidence, just from life. So there's going to be a lot to sort through, and you also haven't finished processing it by the time you get the call from Richard, Judith.
Richard, what did you find?
Judith, we found the family.
By your tone, I'm guessing they're not very much alive, right?
They're pale, they're dead, and they're in a hole that was dug.
What?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. I kind of turned to Evelyn and put my hand over the phone. They found the family, but not in a good way. They're dead in a hole that was dug up. That was dug.
Evelyn just sort of nods and she's like, okay, well, that's unfortunate.
I go back to the conversation with Richard. Do you want us to come over with Evelyn?
I would say Evelyn would be our best chance.
Yeah, right. Okay, Evelyn, perhaps we should put the house on hold for now and train them up in the field. I think you will be a great help over there.
She gives her another nod. She's like, of course, let's go. Let's first things first. We've got a lead here. Let's take care of it.
Okay. However, do we have something in the house? Like, did we find something special with Evelyn role aside from all the trace of life, things like that? Do we have something that we could tell the team over there when we get there?
No, you've found a bunch of fingerprints that you're going to need to process.
Okay. But that's all for now.
Yeah, I want you to both roll me a luck roll right now.
Luck.
By the way, this will come into play later.
Okay, where is the luck? Wait.
Oh, it's just 50-50, so just roll a d100.
Okay, sorry, sir.
50-50. You want to be under 50.
I got 31.
Okay.
60.
Right. Okay. Okie dokie. So
Okay,
yes, so you've got a lot of evidence. The house isn't fully processed. You reach a stopping place, Judith, in terms of like, hey, we've covered for sure this much, and you know where to come back to, and then you can drive out to where they're at, and what Mariela's vehicle looks like. You know that they went off, in her car, so you can go and find it. It's not hard to find a vehicle on the property, although it may take you a little time. Yep. So you guys, after a little while, reach the scene, and you see all these open graves.
In the sheep graves, you said that buzzards had started to eat them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are they bloodless, or is there blood on the sheep bodies?
So when you look at like the ones that the buzzards were beginning to peck at, and like such, you do see that, like, it's flesh. There's some blood, but not as much as you would expect. Yeah, like you would expect that if this was a sheep that was just like conked on the head and thrown in the ground, you would expect maybe there to be a little more blood if something tried to start eating it afterwards. But you also, about lividity on a base level, even though you're not a medical expert. So they're picking from the top, and blood tends to pool at the bottom when something's dead and, thrown in the ground. Sure. So you wouldn't expect there to be a lot anyway, but it does seem to be that there is no blood that has come out from these sheep.
Okay.
Yeah. But it maybe you're having that thought and you're like, maybe the medical expert will be able to enlighten us on that. So when she arrives, unless you guys have any other first thoughts that you would have thought to do before the specialist gets here.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask the chief. Hey, chief, did you see any other possible burials near any of the other places where people went missing?
No, although I wasn't involved in any of those, you would
I
have to
see.
ask Major Garrett. Yeah,
Is it possible all these bodies could be in the ground like this? All the missing people?
I mean, I suppose anything's possible at this point, but this is, I, this is really strange.
Well, perhaps the serial killer doesn't have a type, but he does have a preferred kill style, and he likes to bury his victims.
No, I mean, the, when he gestures to like the paw prints of the coyotes, the digging.
Well, forgive me, I'm not an expert. Wouldn't they just be digging them up to eat them?
Well, there's no evidence that they did. And do you know how much time it would take even a whole pack of coyotes, which don't tend to be large pack animals, to do all of this digging and for what purpose? Mariela's right. This is very weird. And he looks unnerved. Like he was devastated to find the family with your
Hmm.
human, you know that already, and you've been around this guy for a little while now. You can read that on him. Like, he's pretty, you know, poker faced in general. That just tends to be a thing anyway. But there was a definite reaction to the family, but you also see as he's like looking in your eyes and telling you this, he's disturbed by the fact of all this digging up by a coyote.
Perhaps this question would be insensitive, but is there any American folklore that could describe to this? Any sort of legends you would care to share?
Well, the coyote spirit, if you're talking about spiritual things, is important to our people. Now, I'm not the most well versed in that, you know. I'm a law enforcement officer. I'm not a medicine man. We do have some medicine men, but yeah, it's it's an important figure, but it's also the coyote is something not to be trusted.
Ah, so it's not a benevolent spirit.
Not necessarily.
I
Um,
see.
it it's at its whim. It can help or hurt.
Hmm.
It's a trickster. That much I know. Anything more, you would probably have to talk to one of the medicine men or, you know, do research at I'm sure ASU has someone on staff that knows those things.
Hmm. We'll keep that in mind. There may be legends that the killer is playing into.
That's very possible, but it, this is an actual animal that did this, and that's why I don't, I don't like it because an animal wouldn't do this, you know?
Hmm. I think that would end my questioning. I think I would just get lost in thought now.
Yep. And then Evelyn and Judith arrive on the scene. Oh, Evelyn, it is your time to shine.
Oh, Jesus. Let's see if I can actually roll something decent this time.
Yeah, so actually, so Evelyn, given your whole history, when you come up to these pits and given the state of the bodies, you aren't making a sand roll. Judith, if you want to come up and also look, you're prepared, so give yourself a plus 20%, but you will need to make a sand roll.
Okay, 60 right now.
Yep. So as long as you
Okay.
roll under 80, you're fine. But you've been
Okay, so
prepared.
the pink is my decimal. Um, I got 15.
All right. You're so prepared that you're like you have steeled yourself. You're okay with this. I mean, you're not
Okay.
okay with it, but you're not disturbed. You knew what you were walking into. Evelyn, why don't you go ahead and give me probably just a medicine roll to start with as you're kind of looking at this in situ.
40 even over 60.
All right. Good. So, here's what you know looking at them. I'm assuming you're gonna, look at all of what is here, but you notice it on the humans. Yeah, no lividity. They've definitely been in the ground for a while. You can see, that there's some decay happening already. You think rigor mortis has come and gone, and so all of that is already done and dusted, but there's no lividity from blood pooling at the lowest points in the body. They are not darker underneath. They're pale all the way through. And in your careful initial examinations of the scene, you find that they have some puncture wounds. Very small. Almost like an IV needle. That small. But they do have a few.
In any specific place or just...
Yeah, same places on all of them.
So she straps on a couple gloves and she starts very, very carefully looking at the bodies, not moving them too much or touching, but kind of goes over them and goes, I believe they've been exsanguinated, that they do not have any blood in their, well, some, but not enough to comment on, I suppose. They've been drained of their blood at this point, and they've been here for a while, so...
Yep. And that you figure that's probably the most you're going to know for sure until you do a full autopsy. So the next step will probably be to get these to where you can do that. If you then look at the sheep with that roll as well, we'll just carry it through. You start to look at the sheep, particularly the ones that, like, you notice had, they've pointed out to you there were some buzzards. These ones, they were trying to feed on the sheep. Yep, same thing there. The sheep are also drained of blood.
She kind of nods and goes, same for these as well. They've been exsanguinated and drained of all of their bodily fluids at this point.
No, that's some stuff we've never seen before. I mean, personally, Judith kind of, even if her sanity wasn't impacted, she kind of gets sick, at the thought of something being drained. Like, Evelyn, what have you ever seen something like this before? What could it be? I mean, there's no vampire in this world, right? It's only in book, agree? She kind of nervous laugh about it.
She shrugs a little bit. She's like, it's a pretty common practice for embalming, but these obviously haven't been embalmed, and it doesn't appear to be any drive to do so, so I couldn't say.
Of course, it's not a vampire. Vampires attack people and drain their blood, and it's a romantic thing. My people know. We have stories. We know what this is. Have I seen it? Of course not. It's supposed to be fake. I know people who claim to have seen it. But I guess this makes me one of the people who's seen it now.
By it, what do you mean, Mariela? I'm sorry if the vampire mention was insensitive, but can you enlighten us? By it, what do you mean?
It wasn't that it was insensitive so much as that the culprit is more clear for our region. It's the chupacabra.
Oh, I've heard the name, but
Mariela, doesn't that mean goat sucker? These are sheep and people.
It doesn't mean people sucker, but it is known to attack opportunistically.
I see. Well, this is very opportunistic, and I wave my hand around.
I can't really see this whole family getting up and leaving their dinner to go visit with a chupacabra, though. This seems like, I feel like they must have known this person, the culprit. It doesn't look like there was any forced entry, that there was any sort of struggle. They must have known this person, right?
Or they came out to investigate. Maybe they heard a strange sound. Maybe the chupacabra called. I don't know. People clearly have been mesmerized by whatever it is, which is not part of the lore I've ever heard of regarding the chupacabra. But I challenge you to provide a better explanation. It's known through all through Central America into the southern United States. This that's the only thing that makes any sense, and it's a logic leap itself.
So far we have
Um,
vampire, we have chupacabra. That's what we're going for here, guys.
Steve
can I?
is kind of, you know, like he almost gets a little smile when Mariela does this, and he's like, you know, there is a lot of strange things out in the desert. I've heard stories um firsthand from people that they've experienced that, you know, I can't explain their experience away. The desert's a strange place sometimes. The one thing though that I want to say about this is regardless of the digging up, and he looks like I don't want to talk about that right now, but someone put all these bodies in the ground. I don't see the goat sucker that I've heard of from legend, um, regional, you know, myths, burying bodies. Um, I think these people were killed by a human.
Yes,
You
but if there's a human killer, then they obviously didn't drink the blood. So what are they running around the desert with huge jugs of blood? Where'd all the blood go in that case?
know, I mean, aren't there people who, you know, think that they're vampires and drink blood? I don't know.
My
Yes.
understanding is that you would become incredibly sick if you drank the
Yes.
fullness of blood taken here.
That is a lot of blood. Yeah.
I don't think you'd be able to survive if you drank that much.
Can I ask Mariela? When you talk about when Mariela talk about the chupacabra, sorry, would you say she's kind of going erratic about it, or she's very serious on the time?
EeiddKlabe, before you answer that, why don't we have Judith roll human and see
Okay,
how it goes?
so I have 60 on human. I rolled 54. 54, yes.
All right. So go ahead and you can tell us how much of a believer Mariela is.
I think that she would have been somebody who did not believe in the chupacabra at all. Of course, she heard stories growing up and so on and so forth, but it's just like any other kind of myth or legend. You pretty much start knowing that it's fake, and then as you get older, it's just more and more kind of disproven beyond the shadow of a doubt in your mind. However, I think she's kind of manic in this situation because even
Okay.
though law enforcement, there's dead bodies, and she's now forced to believe that the chupacabra is a possibility.
Okay, so
Okay.
not normally a believer in myths, but you think that suddenly being confronted with this situation, that is definitely where her brain is going.
Yeah, she lost sanity looking
Curious
at
about that. Yeah.
that. So I
Okay.
think, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I asked that because Judith is kind of down to earth, and so she's not worried about Mariela, but she kind of see that this situation is not doing too well on her, which is normal, but she kind of track it in her mind that Mariela doesn't seem to be doing well about it. That's it, by the way.
All right. So Chief Colorados is like, I'm gonna call this in. We're gonna get everyone out here. Obviously, we don't need to do a grid search anymore. We don't need to go combing around. We've got our bodies. So what happens next is I'll have people come out. They'll bring the bodies back to the hospital. Obviously, you have a medical expert here. If you want to be involved with that, that's great. But yeah, I'm gonna go do that now.
I agree with most of that. I think you should go call everybody. But I disagree on one point, which is that we don't need to do a grid search. We still have numerous other missing people, and we stand to gain a lot knowing if they're here or if they're somewhere else.
I agree with Mariela on that. We cannot give up on the other. There might be other links to get, and worst case scenario, they're all different type of that, so we cannot give up on the grid, sir. I disagree with the giving up on that. I don't know what Evelyn and Richard think, but we cannot have a one-track mind on that. It's getting too big for that.
All right. Well, I've found my people. This is my part of the case, so we'll take this part from here in terms of getting it to the hospital. We'll finish processing this scene. If you think that it's a good idea to, search the rest of this ranch, you can. I'm just saying I'm going to pull my deputies off looking for these people, which is what we were doing. And I'm going to have them come here and, we'll take care of bringing the bodies out. If you guys have something else you want to do, you can do that.
I agree with the chief. The ranch is probably clear of bodies. It's the other places. Within a couple miles, there's probably a burial for those bodies as well.
That seems more likely considering these people didn't go missing until the most recent, disappearance. So, but if you're saying the sheep happened earlier, I suppose it's possible. There could be, some more graves on this property, but I feel like the folks would have noticed if there were even more holes than this. This place is a little bit out there, and they weren't grazing the sheep at this time of year, so that may be why they didn't see it. But I feel like if there were more graves, they'd probably be here, in this area. But yeah, if you want to finish searching the property, go ahead. You're on this case. I'm not telling you can't, but
Hey,
this
chief,
is what my deputies are going to do.
will that flyover that was mentioned earlier, would that be useful in identifying there are more graves here to put the matter to rest?
I can tell Major Garrett that when he does that, he's free to fly over the Begay Ranch if you want. You guys didn't, choose to do that. I know he said he wouldn't be able to get to it until tomorrow, but I can definitely call him and let him know that he's free to fly over this area as well. He has to have permission to do that from us, but yeah,
Oh, I
give him
see.
permission. Yeah.
Tell him to keep his eye out for anything that looks like a burial mound. At least he
Okay.
has something to search for this time.
Yeah. All the jurisdictional fun you guys get to deal with. Yeah, what are you guys gonna do next? You still have some time in this day if you want to do one more thing. It'll probably take them a little while to exhume these bodies and get them sent to a morgue where Evelyn can look at them more closely. You talked about finishing a search of the thing, but you can also have Major Garrett fly over.
I feel like the flyover would be useful. I don't know what you guys think.
I think it's useful, but I think they said they couldn't do it until tomorrow.
Well,
Yeah.
so Major Garrett doesn't have, people to actually go up. The helicopter is available for your use. But Chief Carl has let you know that Major Garrett doesn't have people to in addition to the pilot, be actually looking at the ground to do that flyover. His people are all spoken for today. He will do it tomorrow, or you guys can do it today. It's still on the table if you want. You can give him a call.
Yeah, I have 0 in pilot, so.
Yeah, no, there's a pilot.
Okay. There's a pilot. Okay, I was like, no.
Yeah, the pilot just can't be effectively looking at the ground. So, if 2 of you want to go and do a flyover, out each side of the helicopter, keeping a watch.
Okay, but we still have kind of the house, right? Somehow.
Yeah, you haven't finished the house, so if you want to be the one to finish that, you can also do that.
What do you say, Richard? Because we have 2 possibilities, both of them interesting. We didn't finish entirely the house with Evelyn, but the possibility of other grave hole is still there. So, what do you reckon we do? Do we split or do we focus on one thing?
I'd say we should split, but after today, we should probably all stay together because it's luring people out somehow. We don't want to get lured.
Okay, so do we speak like before? Mariela, Evelyn, what's your say on that? For now, we're a team, so let's work it together. We agree, Eerie, that for Evelyn, the bodies won't be
Yeah,
out
they
before a
won't be
few
where
hours.
they won't be where
Okay.
she can actually
Okay.
work on them for a little bit. If she wants to stay with the bodies though, that's also a thing she can do.
Yeah.
You could also finish processing the scene at the house. You've seen her work, you probably feel like, she's capable to do that. So she's kind of along for the ride. You FBI agents kind of have jurisdiction over her. Not so much Mariela. Mariela can do whatever she wants, but she's been told to help you out, keep an eye on you. It's possible that, Mariela might be a useful pair of eyes to have looking
Yeah,
down
that's what I
the
was
desert.
thinking actually.
Yeah.
If we
But if
were
she
to
wants to do
split,
that.
I would, if it was me, I would say that Evelyn's get either to stay with the bodies or the house, and one agents go with Mariela in the hair. But I don't want to personally, and that's out of RP. I don't want to impose, and that's why I tend to ask Richard for a validation or things like that. I don't want to, even if we have jurisdiction, I don't want to impose.
Yeah, you're
So
all kind of doing this sort of like awkward dance. Like in the world, you are all doing this sort of awkward dance around your various, like roles, including with the locals as to like, oh, who does what when, and you're trying to be nice. So what do Mariela and Evelyn want to do now? Yeah, I don't know how concerned Evelyn is about chain of custody. That would be like probably your biggest reason to stay with the bodies. The only other thing being if you wanted to get into this right away, if like you're like, this is weird and I want to, do it as fast as possible. If you go with them, obviously you'll be right there the minute that they're ready to be autopsied. So, but it would be a little bit of waste of your time unless you're worried about chain of custody.
Does seem like a fairly, I mean, besides just the wild animals that could potentially get into this, what if, what if we've been somehow watched or seen coming out here, and they're just waiting for people to move before they take the bodies away?
Oh,
What
the chief is
happens?
definitely going to stay on the scene. He's radioing in, so you don't need to worry about that. There will be someone here. I mean, unless you're worried that Colorado's is going to get snatched. He doesn't seem worried.
I mean, I think I would probably just have her like turn around and kind of lift up her palms and be like, where do you think I would be best served?
So if there's nothing to be done with the bodies right now, but there's someone watching over them, we can do the 2 teams split again, and one team goes back to the house, one team goes up in the air, and yeah, I don't know what you guys think, but I feel like no, there's nothing to be done with the bodies anymore unless
Yeah, the
I'm
one thing
wrong.
I would say about if Evelyn stays with you to finish processing the house that you guys kind of got interrupted in the middle of, is that she will be on site still when they actually take the bodies out, so she could ride along then.
Okay, great.
That sounds good.
All right.
Okay.
Mariela, you can go on the fly along if you want, or you cannot. It is up to you, but it seems like they're asking you to do that.
I mean, I don't think I have anything else reasonable to contribute. Is there any overlap in the reservation land in the park map that I have? Like, is any of this somehow also a national park?
Oh, that's a good question. I never did like ask you to like pick a national park that you were from.
I didn't even think of it.
Yeah, there's
Every
so many.
park.
There's like a bunch of them in Arizona. Although the biggest one, of course, is the
Right.
part of Grand Canyon that's in Arizona, which is way to the other side of the state. But yeah, I don't think there is national park land involved in this like specific area map that you're in. You've just been called in to help because this has gotten to be a big deal, and they're like, we need more help.
Yeah. I guess I guess I'll just lend an eye in the sky and then see if what the results yield. I don't know what good I don't know what good I am down here.
Well, I mean, it's always possible that if you find something and you had to land, because helicopters can land in a lot of places out in the desert, then you know, you then would be out more in your element, like you can make sure that there's not.
True. Yeah, I was imagining a plane, not a helicopter. So yeah, helicopter easier.
Yeah, it's a state helicopter. So all right, so you guys give Major Garrett a call. You tell him, hey, we've changed our mind. If that's still available, he's like, oh yeah, sure. And he will have the helicopter pilot come out and pick you up, because he's heard from Chief Colorados that it's okay to do a flyover of this ranch too. And he's more than happy to push his authority to the very edge of where it's appropriate. But yeah, so the helicopter pilot comes, picks you up at the Begay Ranch, and he'll start with a flyover of the area if that's what you guys want.
Yep.
Yep. And you can tell now that you see where the scene is that's being watched over by the chief from the air, and you see that there's nothing else on this property that looks like it. It doesn't take long to fly over a ranch. So yeah, that definitely is the only place where there are any mounds on this ranch, and you figure that's probably all there is to find there.
Logical.
That's easily established. And then he'll go out and fly back over the highway, which is kind of his usual path. And he will take you out over the areas out by Geronimo where they've had multiple disappearances. So he'll start flying over desert to either side of the highway around these disappearance areas, and looking for, you guys can look for more of like what you saw there, or maybe like what it would look like if it wasn't disturbed. Why don't you guys both give me an alertness check, actually?
Yes, I can.
Yep.
Oh, no. A 65 over a 60.
30 under 50. Success.
All right. Okay. So, Mariela, I guess you're looking out the wrong side of the helicopter when this happens.
All right. Start daydreaming up there.
So as you're surveying, so the helicopter is taking you over, like the desert, sort of north of Geronimo, kind of northwest of Geronimo, which is where one of the disappearances was near. So he's surveying kind of both sides. But when you are over the northeast from the highway, you actually see a glint of like white metal. Looks like it might be, I mean, you're not really sure. It's a square of white metal exposed in the desert, almost like something is buried.
I mean, I will alert the pilot to take us down there.
Yep. And the pilot will land you nearby. He'll land as close as he can. It's relatively flat, like there's flat areas nearby. He'll go a little ways away from what you saw, just in case it is either dangerous or you don't want the rotor wash to disturb the scene. So you have a little bit of a walk to get over there, but yeah, he puts you down nearby. And yeah. So as you go out there towards this exposed metal white square, almost more of a rectangle, you notice that is a buried car.
Burying the cars too?
Yeah, it's a buried car. It looks like there's a little bit of like a wash or a ditch kind of naturally around that area, and the car may have been pushed into it and then buried and has now been partially unburied. Go ahead and give me your choice of search or survival.
Yeah, that'd be search for me. 63 over 50,
Mariela?
Do I think there's like any risk of like, I don't know if these happen in deserts or not, but like sinkholes or anything?
They probably do sometimes. But I will tell you with your wilderness skills, as you walk up here towards, like what may have been a wash and then something buried, you're able to see what is the right way to approach this car. And you would just naturally test with your foot to see if it is okay to get any closer, as you start to come to what you think, looking at the lay of the land, is like the edge of the wash that has then been filled in.
Okay. I
So,
kind of
yeah.
alter Richard to not we'll just charge up to the car.
Oh, I just went right up and looked.
Mariela
got
tries
10.
to stop him and he just walks right up. So what did you get on search or survival though, Mariela? I know you have a pretty good survival skill.
Oh, I can survive a little bit. Let's see. I think it was 60. Yes. I got a 8.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Richard's about to step on some of the dirt that has been uncovered, and you're like, wait, look at that. And you both look down and you see a perfect, paw print. And this is absolutely a coyote paw print. You know that immediately. You look at the part of this car that isn't covered. This was also done by a coyote. The coyote has unburied a car now. And that doesn't make sense either.
First question I have is can I see into the cabin of the vehicle?
No. The entire roof of the car has been unburied, but
Okay.
the windows are still buried, and you can see like the very, very tops of them. They seem to be shut. Yeah. So you'll have to do a little bit of excavation to try and see inside. So if you guys want to do, like any sort of preparation before you do that, that's fine.
I want
But
to.
you will have to get the car out before you know what's inside it.
I want to emphasize carefully, but I do approach the vehicle if I believe that I can safely do so, and I want to begin with whatever kind of tool that I could use. I don't know if the helicopter would have a little shovel or if I would just have to, I don't know, use my hands or something. But I would start pulling away dirt from the windows until I can sort of see into the cabin. My hypothesis is there's bodies in there, and I want to see if that's true.
Right. Okay, so between you and Richard, you guys, do some sort of preliminary, hey, here's what we found. Maybe, you did talk about taking photographs, so, you can certainly have brought a camera and you guys can use that to take a couple pictures of just like, hey, this is what we found to start with. And then, there's nothing else to do but unbury the car. So you go ahead and start digging a bit. We can say that you were always prepared.
Yeah.
So you have a small spade at least, so that you don't have to do it with your hands.
I was thinking a trowel would make sense for me to have.
Trowel. Mm-hmm.
And I'll just start kind of pulling that away. And for our younger listeners, cameras used to do this. I got a little disposable. You actually had to take photo film to
then roll it and roll it. Those will be the weirdest photos ever as they develop them. Car roof?
Car roof buried in
maybe coyote paw prints? What? Yeah. So you get enough of one of the windows of the car unburied that you're able to, get a peek in there. I mean, obviously it's dark. You probably have to use a flashlight. You guys would both have those.
Mm-hmm.
As you look into the car, there is definitely a body in there that you can't really see it until you get more of the car unburied. So I assume that you guys are working at that for a little while.
Yeah, I think Mariela would probably take a pretty long break. Maybe Richard doesn't care so much, but like she just like she needed to know, but now that she knows, like she doesn't really care about uncovering the rest of a 1980 Silverado or whatever it is. She's probably just like too freaked out.
Yeah.
I don't imagine she's seen a lot of dead bodies, although maybe every now and then you find one in the park service.
Yep. And the pilot will ask you if you want him to call it in, you know, that you found something, obviously.
Yeah, I
I'll
reply
just
back. Yeah, call it in.
not be nodding emphatically, but kind of like covering her eyes, like, oh.
Yeah, they can get some extra help out here to make this go a lot faster.
Yeah, they can dig this out with their bare hands.
No. So yes, so you guys are waiting on like a backhoe or something, and more of the stadies to come up and help you.
Get a tractor down here.
Yep. In the meantime, Judith and Evelyn, you don't have to roll. You have finished your forensic processing of the house. And it is actually getting to where it is actually, starting to look and feel like evening now. Because this is your whole day. This is all taken a long time. And you see some like the vehicles with lights that have come, while you've been working. You knew that they'd be coming. So there've been police cars that have come and gone out into the ranch, and also an ambulance or an EMT vehicle has come, and you see them they're coming back out, and they're getting ready to go down the main drive and leave. And Chief Colorados comes in and says, Ms. Coates, if you want to go with them, you're welcome to. You can ride along.
She kind of looks over at Judith and gives her a nod and goes, "Do you want to come too, or are you done here?" Or
I'm done here, but I will come with you. I will call Rooster in the car to see what they're up to. Don't know if he catch me, but haven't got any news from them for a while.
Chief Colorados will turn to Judith and say, do you want this evidence to go, somewhere else as well? In terms of like, are there some databases that you want us to run this up through other than just our local?
We'll start with the local database, and I will catch up with my colleague on the rest. I can call you anyway if we need to run this through something else, but with the time those kind of thing takes, we'll start local and we'll see after. So
Okay. Yeah, you can see he's doing like also the interdepartmental dance with you. He's like, do you want all of this immediately sent also to the FBI? Do you want them to process fingerprints? It's like, so it sounds like you're going the nice, slow and steady, appropriate way of like, nesting Russian dolls, search outward as you eliminate that it's not, someone known in this community, etc.
okay.
And he seems happy with that. So
Okay, yeah, local, and we'll see as we go. We keep in touch. We're working this case together anyway, but just local. Keep me and my colleague up to date with what you get, and we will improvise as we go on. We'll decide as we go on.
Okay. Yep. So he takes charge of all your evidence that you've found, like all your fingerprinting and etc. that you've pulled. And he'll take that to the local station and they'll start processing that. And then if they don't find anything, they'll probably let you know,
Yeah, that's
to go to the FBI.
I feel like in terms of like professional relation too, it might be best to first trust local and then go up if needed. As I said, Judith don't like to kind of overstep, so yeah, she will tell Richard about it though.
All right. So you guys head to the hospital, and you guys are waiting to have a car unburied. So Major Garrett arrives with some other stadies and a backhoe that apparently they've had to hire out to do this. And they start unburying that car. And it is now getting to be almost dark. Summer days are long, but you now have the car open to the point where you can actually like open the door. And you see there is a single body in there. And you are now able to get at it.
All right,
And the stadies don't seem to actually want to. They're like, oh yeah, we want to be on site for this, but no one seems to be in a hurry to look at the body. They're like, oh, yeah, no, this is your find.
Yeah, I'll flash my light and there's the body pale like the other ones.
He's very, very decayed.
Oh.
Very decayed. Like he's been here a long time, maybe. It's kind of hard to tell how long without, like getting in there. But this is clearly a very decayed corpse. You have a feeling that when you open this door, it is going to be ripe.
I guess that makes 14.
Yeah, apparently. Or he could be one of your missing people, but why would he be in a different car if he was one of the people with cars?
Well, I doubt it because of the age, also because of everyone else's, like you said, the cars were found without the people. This is a person and a car, so no one reported this, most likely.
Yeah, it's definitely a reasonable assumption, but you can't tell exactly. Some of these people have been missing a month.
But also, like the state of decay, it sounds like this precedes our time frame, given how good the other bodies looked after a week of being missing in a hole.
True, if they were exsanguinated, but they were buried in the ground, so there's that too. Like until they were dug up.
Does the truck have plates on it by chance?
Yes, it does. It has Houston plates. The registration it's Texas plates, and the little thing around the thing is from a dealership in Houston. And as the stadies run it, they say that's a car from Houston, Texas.
All right, I'll prepare
Registered
myself.
to a Kenneth Braverman. Yep.
All right, I'm gonna prepare myself. I'm gonna open the door.
All right. So, yep, you're gonna get to make me a SAN and a con ×5 roll.
Nice. Okay. So
Taking one for the team, Richard.
Constitution is 60 first. A 38 under 60. Okay, fast. Sanity is 64. And I rolled a 63. Holy shit.
All right. So you do not lose any sanity, and you do not lose your you guys didn't really have lunch. You've been very busy. You're going to be starving when it comes to dinner time, but you didn't lose whatever was left of your breakfast at this point. So, you can go ahead and give me I suppose, either search or forensics, depending on what you want to do. You have
I want
to body.
Search his identification to see if he's actually this kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do search.
Yeah, you do find his wallet, and this is indeed Kenneth Braverman according to the wallet. It's really hard to tell at this point because of all of the decay. But you think so,
And is the ID
there's enough of a match? Yeah, the ID.
Okay.
Yep.
Is the ID is it in date, like 4 years old or 10 years old or?
Yeah, no, it's still valid. Yeah.
Okay, still valid. Yeah, that's basically what I was asking. All right, do you want me to roll search or?
It would be probably forensics. You don't really search to find the thing, but if you want to forensics the car now that you're inside it. The other thing that's immediately obvious, though, without any other roll, is that this man has an obvious cause of death. Unlike the other ones where you kind of had to search for it.
Mm-hmm.
He's died violently. That's why you had to make SAN roll. He's been disemboweled.
Mm.
His innards are kind of sitting in his lap, or at least what's left of them after this time.
I was probably so focused I didn't even notice until now. They didn't bother me. Okay, so I have a 30 forensic. So I have rolled a 28. No way.
Ooh, excellent. Okay. So you notice that there's bloodstains on the car and on his clothes, but you think there's less blood than there should be, considering, this is a man who was disemboweled.
Yes.
That seems a little strange. Obviously, there'll have to be an autopsy, but you're pretty sure he died of the, massive abdominal trauma. You
Evelyn's
also
gonna be
find,
busy.
as you begin your forensic processing of this car, as much as you can here, you notice that there's fingerprints on both sides inside the car, the driver and the passenger seat.
Mhm.
Yep.
Well, Marielle, looks like your goat sucker took a little blood here, but it's clearly not the cause of death, as you can see.
I mean, it's possible it's unrelated. People do go missing in the desert. That's could
Yes,
have been.
but they don't get disemboweled and buried in the desert.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, disemboweling somebody. I mean, that could be a crime completely independent. Doesn't match the pattern at all. Neither does being with your vehicle, which is a thing.
That is
Uh,
true.
the person that there could have been somebody here who killed him and ran off. As far as the burying and uncovering, I still can't explain that. But
Well, the chief said that the coyote spirit is a trickster. Perhaps the person emulating him is a trickster as well.
I just don't understand the physics behind how fast the burying and the uncovering and everything is happening, and how do you get a coyote to not eat a body? It doesn't make logical sense. You're very cool and calm and collected. Maybe you had training for this kind of stuff. I didn't have training for this. I'm trying to make sense of it, and I'm grasping at straws. I literally told you earlier, the fucking chupacabra did this, so I don't. I'm at a loss. I'm willing to accept that this is unrelated, but it's your call how far you want to take this.
All the way, this is related. It has to be. It was buried. That's all I need. It's enough for me. It was buried. And a coyote seemingly dug it up. There's still a connection.
I love Richard's confidence.
I finally have something solid to grasp on. That's right. I'm going all the way.
Yeah. Yeah, the biggest problem about this body is that this is not one of your missing people. It's not even from this area. So, yep. So the state police will take charge of this car, and the body, and will happily transport it to the San Carlos hospital, because it is actually the nearest. And since you have a forensics expert, they're willing to do that. But they're like, but this one's ours. This one's ours. uh, and Major Garrett comes over and he's like, so, am I calling Houston or are you?
You can do it.
All right. Well, I'll get back to you. Appreciate being kept in the loop.
Of course we're, like I said, we're all working together.
Yep. And he will head out. You guys are free to, that's probably it for you for the evening,
I was gonna
unless you want
say,
to burn the midnight oil. Evelyn and Judith, you have arrived at the San Carlos hospital. It's not quite as far to go from the Big A Ranch from there. So, Evelyn, if you want, you can start working on some of these bodies tonight. It's way too much work if you wanted to look at all of them, because they've brought the sheep too. Because it seems to be related, although their morgue is not made for sheep, but they have brought sheep corpses. I know, that's very weird.
I'm just like
25 piles of dead
Right.
sheep just in a stack in the corner.
It's like the legs are awkwardly folded in.
Yeah, it's like, where are we even putting these? I don't know. They probably have, like a walk-in cold storage that they're ending up putting the sheep bodies in, but they'll bring them out as necessary. But yeah, so you have all the bodies now at the hospital, and if you want to do something tonight, you are able to. You won't be able to finish everything though. So, what do you want to do?
I feel like she would probably start with the dad, since he was the one that was planning on being outside and
Okay,
having some kind of contact with somebody. I think they were expecting something.
certainly. Okay. So, and Judith, what are you up to now that you've arrived at the hospital with her? Are you going to assist?
Let me check my forensic. Not very good. I'm going to Evelyn. I'm going to call Richard very quick to get news and tell him where we are. So I kind of go in the corridor and pick up my very old cell phone and dial up Richard. Do the answer first.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, hello, Richard. We're at the hospital with Evelyn. We managed to finish the house. Nothing too crazy. Evelyn is currently, I think she's gonna start working on the dad. She did say something about him being possibly the first to be in contact or expecting something. So that's where we are. What did you guys find?
Well, we're up in the helicopter. We saw a white glint. We landed. We found a car buried. It was seemingly dug up by that coyote again.
Again, what, a car buried?
In
So
yeah,
what?
inside his vehicle there was a disemboweled man. So
Oh,
he's not one of our missing, not one of our missing people, but and he's not
is
missing. He's not been drained of his blood like the others. He's been disemboweled, like I say,
okay.
but I don't know. I still feel it fits. He's been sent
Okay,
off, and they're looking at him.
okay, they're looking. And what does Mariela think of this?
I think she's still. And I kind of whisper into that chupacabra thing.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, that's what I was wondering. Okay, so they're looking him over. What are you guys gonna do now? I'm staying at the hospital with Evelyn in case she could need me or anything. But is there something I could assist you with? And by the way, before I forget, uh, all the prints we found and everything, they're gonna be handled in the local database first. And if nothing match, they will be put in another database. I feel like we should do step by step. I don't know if that's something you agree with, but please know that right now they're being looked up in a local database to see if we get something out of them.
Well, I was told to play nice. I'll follow orders. Let's do it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, bits by
And
bits. Okay.
and you would know, Richard, because if she calls you first thing, this is going to be like, they've just, they've just got the car unburied. You've taken a look at him. They're going to have to get it the rest of the way unburied and take it out. But you know that you're coming to her. So in a little bit, the body will end up at the same morgue.
Okay.
Closest. So yeah, you
Oh,
can.
there will be a lot of dead bodies in the same morgue. Okay. So what are you gonna do now, since they're handling the body?
I think we should come your way, then we'll figure out what we're doing to sleep, and get back in the morning.
Yeah, that's best bet. It was a long day. Just yeah. Evelyn is gonna work on it. She won't be able to finish everything tonight, but I'm sure she will be more helpful than I am to this
It
case.
was kind of weird. I just looked at disemboweled. Maybe we should get something to eat too while we're at it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, and rest too.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree. All right, I'll catch you up. See you in a bit.
Yep. See you later.
Okay. Evelyn, as you're getting into this, let's see how long it takes you, basically. Why don't you go ahead and make me let's start with a medicine roll.
So I've got 9.
Ooh, 9. That's pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna say that you're actually you've been thinking about this. You've been planning this in your head ever since you guys found these bodies. You are ready to go. And you did see some of these puncture wounds before when the body was still in situ. So you are ready to go. You follow these puncture wounds as you do your, like your autopsy, and you're able to find exactly where they go. So what you find on Victorio the Gay is that there are several puncture wounds in him that don't actually equate to like just being exsanguinated. What you find is that the wounds that he has pierce the heart and lungs. That makes sense. Those are blood-rich places. But also both of his adrenaline glands and both of the amygdala. There are, two, one for each side in the brain. So that's weird. The first two make sense if you want to draw blood out. The second two do not. And these go pretty deep. You're following them back very carefully, to find where they actually end at. And you know that, this looks like it's the size of an IV needle, but IV needles just, like you poke them in and they're there. These ones that go to the brain and go to the glands, this is something that has threaded itself through the body like a needle, but gone way deeper than any needle you know of. And then I want you to go ahead and make me a pharmacy as well, because you're probably going to want to analyze, various tissues and fluids. So go ahead and make me a pharmacy.
52 over 50.
Okay. So that is going to take you longer. The mass spectrometer or whatever they have at the time is not behaving for you. You haven't found anything unusual there yet. You have been able to find some trace blood, etc. And it's processing, but that's going to take a while, so you don't have results right now. The other thing that you find, though, is that the amygdala seemed to have died before body death. So you find more cell necrosis, more advanced cell necrosis in the amygdala than in the body as a whole. I'm pretty sure that the cause of death is them losing all their blood, but these amygdala seem to have been somehow killed before that, suffered some trauma.
Okay. So is there a way I could do toxicology reports or anything like that?
Yep, that's what the pharmacy is for. So you will get those results because you have 50. You're doing the thing, but it's going to either have to wait until the morning before you get your results, or you can spend willpower to stay up and power through. It's up to you. You risk exhaustion tomorrow, though.
I think it's worth it. This is like my thing for this group, so I think I would probably power through it.
All right. Yeah, so you spend some willpower. You keep working after all of the other agents have come back, they've all reconvened at the hospital, and you're gonna keep on working, and we'll get to what you find a little bit later. What are the rest of you gonna do? Evelyn seems intent on finishing, at least one of these autopsies tonight, but you all meet up at the hospital.
Just gonna enjoy some terrible hospital food.
I mean, you can go somewhere else. They have
I'm
little
saying
cafes and
hospital.
stuff.
In the hospital.
You're gonna have to sleep eventually too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat some cafeteria food too, and I guess look for a hotel to rent for the night. There has to be some, but it has to be next to the hospital if possible. So if Evelyn needs something, we can jump right back in. At least that's how Judith would do, to rest because it's needed, but to be available if needed to.
Right, you want to stay nearby. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the chief can point you in the right direction. Put you up nearby.
Okay.
I guess the other question the chief would have is like, so are you going to be working out of your hotel or the station? Or I suppose that makes a difference in where I put you up.
I will be working from the hotel for a bit, but I will not overdo it. The days has been pretty long, and I
Oh,
bet.
yeah, I just mean generally. I'm not asking you to
Oh
stay
yeah,
up.
oh yeah, okay. From the hotel.
Okay. Yeah, so it's not going to be super close to the hospital, but yeah, we do have we have a place that, people can stay.
Okay,
There's
okay,
there's a
great.
little chain hotel not far.
Whatever works. The closest is the best.
All right, so you get an actual hotel room then, as opposed to like, a B&B of somebody on the res putting you up,
All right.
which means you'll be a little farther away. But if you're gonna work from your rooms, it's like, well, we need to have you somewhere where, like you can have that separation.
Okay. Great.
Okay, so are the three of you gonna go and actually, sleep and rest?
Yeah, I was
Be
about to
fresh
eat
in the
hospital food, then I just kind of sigh, roll my eyes, and follow Judith out.
morning? Mariela?
So the thing for her is, I think she's scared in a way that she's never been scared before, and so her first instinct is to like drive to her parents' house, but it's a little bit too far away for her to like make it back and be useful tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I think she hops in the Ford Ranger and she just starts mindlessly almost driving in that direction. And as she heads out toward Geronimo, I think she sees the gas station that the young man disappeared from. And I think she has no choice but to just pull in. And she just turns the car off and sits there for probably about maybe an hour
Oh boy.
and
Taking
just
risk.
spaces out, just kind of thinking about everything that happened. I also think adding to that, she's tired on the road, and she just feels like she could run herself off the road, and so she grabs a shitty cup of coffee and starts trying to force 20 ounces of that, sludge down, to hopefully keep herself up, but she sort of gets lost in thought for the time being.
Okay. Did you tell anyone that you were leaving, by the way?
I would have
You
imagined
tomorrow?
it sounded like everyone just kind of was like going off and doing their thing, and I think she would have told like the chief that she's going to take
Okay.
off,
Yeah. All right.
and that would probably be about it. Maybe the state police officer too, because I mean she has to kind of play nice as
I mean,
well.
you could if he was around, but he wasn't around, so that's
Okay,
okay.
perfect.
But you can
Don't
go
have
to
to worry about it.
Colorado's and he's gonna hand you a radio, like an extra police radio. He's gonna be like, here, I know you're usually used to using radios, so keep in touch. I know you're not staying with the feds, but if you need a place, and
And
then
she goes, yeah, I think that at that time she's probably gonna, I don't know, think that she's gonna go meet up with somebody or whatever, but I don't
right.
think she gets that far.
So that's fine. So you're still, like you're like, no, I'm good, and
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
thinking I'm gonna go home, and then you end up
Yeah,
sitting in a parking lot.
it's not
Um,
good.
yeah. Why don't you go ahead and make me an alertness roll, I
Oh,
guess?
this is what I want. Yep, alertness rolls.
Yeah.
These are good. Oh gosh, 87 over 60.
You probably just fall asleep in your car.
Nice. I wake up buried.
No, thankfully not. But yeah, you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm here. I mean, maybe I'll look around. Maybe that thought occurs to you, but no, you're too tired. Like you drink your coffee, but you still fall asleep.
Nice.
Okay. So Evelyn, when you finally are able to finish your toxicological type examination, your pharmacy work with the tissues and the fluids that are left in this poor gentleman, you find that he had in his system a tranquilizer. A tranquilizer that, you're able to tell from tests that you're doing is a tranquilizer, but you do not recognize it. And you also find that the victim's whole system is awash with adrenochrome. So when someone is in a high state of alert and their adrenaline is going, adrenochrome is a waste product that is created when adrenaline is being used by the body. And there is so much of this that that you think that this person was absolutely terrified, absolutely activated, 100%, like freaking out prior to death because there's so much adrenochrome. Their system was flooded with adrenaline.
But their amygdala is like shot, like
Yeah, so like, it's not like physical trauma to the amygdala. I mean, it was pierced, but it died first, so before the body. And what you know about the amygdala is that they're the part of the limbic system in the brain that induces negative emotions like fear, sadness, and anxiety. You also know that the adrenal glands are the ones that produce adrenaline, which gives you your fight or flight response. These are the parts of the body that were punctured that didn't make sense, but now it's making a little bit more sense with the evidence that you're seeing that this did happen. But you're like, why? And also, usually tranquilizer makes you, not that you think from the presence of the tranquilizer that they weren't able to move because they were tranquilized. And yet something was accessing the nervous system directly. And they were freaking out. Absolutely freaking out.
so Evelyn's the only one that's still even awake at this point, right?
Yeah, pretty much since Mariela fell asleep in her car.
Okay.
It's going to be the wee hours of the morning by the time you figure this out.
Okay. I think at that point she just kind of like starts to pack things up and makes her notes and then um goes and finds a room in the hospital and kind of crashes out on a bed for a while.
Let's see if you can sleep. Why don't you roll me a SAN test for this actually?
Current is 70, 44.
Okay. That's a critical success. You are able to fall right to sleep despite the fact that just found things that make zero sense to you. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
And possibly a substance that is not known to science at this point. Yeah, because you're a trained professional and you didn't recognize that tranquilizer. So where did it come from? But that's okay. You just put all of that aside and sleep away.
Is there any indication that it would be a biological substance, or would it be like a chemical compound like lab made?
You think that it's natural. It at the very least, I mean, you can't identify it. That's the weird thing. But your first thought is that it's something natural. It doesn't have any of the markers that tend to be built into, like chemically produced, compounds that would be done in labs. But then again, you can't identify it, so it's really hard to say. The
Okay.
parts that you can identify when you split it all out, um, they occur in nature. It's just that there's aspects, there's components of this tranquilizer that you've gotten samples of from this body that don't occur in nature anywhere that you know of. And yeah. What's her reaction to that? Does she start to second guess her own work because she's up this late? Does she just, like, tell me the thought process? You're fine with it either way. Like, you're going to be able to sleep, but
I think she starts to run a second set just to be safe, puts it through the toxicology steps again, and then double checks her notes before writing down all the little things. Side note, same question for the punctures. Do they appear to be made by like a man-made hypodermic needle type situation, or are we talking like fang mark or like
you
puncture wound?
you did think a needle at first because it's very precise and it's very very, very small. But at this point, you know that no needle that of being produced, or any medical apparatus, etc., could do what you've seen done to the non-blood extracting parts of this. It's very precise.
Okay. So definitely lots of pictures.
Yep, and you said you're making notes, so you're jotting down everything that you found so that you have a record for the morning. Where are you keeping all of that, since you basically go and fall asleep like you're a doctor in the ER here?
I imagine that she probably has like a little pocket Walkman type recorder with her at this point
Okay.
to kind of, click the button, talk into it, discuss findings, and then, kind of walk herself through processes and, finding this but not sure, substance or potential causation, follow up with maybe someone else in the business that could potentially take a second look at it or something like that.
Okay, yeah. So you've got tape, you've got maybe some notes. You're keeping all that with you on your person.
Yes.
Yep, you're good to go. All right, so we have arrived at the next day then. It is now July 29th. You all wake up, and what is your plan for today?
Well, I would, of course, want to return to the hospital to get Evelyn's information.
Yeah, directly to the hospital.
Yeah, I think we kind of know what Evelyn's day is probably going to consist of. A lot of work at the hospital still to be done. Mariela, you wake up in your car after, sleeping maybe 6 hours in your car uncomfortably.
All right. I imagine I wake up, hair stuck to my face. There's like a throbbing pain from the side of my head that was like leaning into the attachment point for the seat belt. Right. There's probably like a cop who like knocks 3 times on the window. Tap tap tap. You okay, miss? And I'm
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, let's do that.
I'm just like just jolted from whatever surprisingly dreamless state she was in, and she's just kind of brought to the here and now. I think it all kind of hits her at the same time. Like, I fell asleep in this weird place. Did I get abducted? No, I'm here in my car. Right. And she's just processes all that and just kind of like looks at him. And I would imagine he probably thinks she looks like a crazy person.
Are you okay?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think so. She kind of like looks at herself and is like, yeah, I was drowsy on the road last night, and I pulled in. I grabbed a cup of coffee, and before you know it, I was off to dreamland.
Well, that's not ideal. You've heard there's been disappearances, right?
I have. My intent was to get off the highway altogether. Of course, I honestly had no plan of falling asleep, but it's almost like the light switch just went off.
Gotcha. Well, say you you're probably still wearing your uniform, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
What are you doing all the way out here if you're a National Park Ranger? Are you part of the whole, they were searching for people?
The search and rescue efforts, yes, on the reservation. I was allowed to stay as a guest, but I feel like I'm overstaying if I stayed within their lands, even though people were generous enough to offer. And so as soon as I got outside the tribal land, I guess that's when it's kind of when I just needed to pull over.
Okay, well, do you need any help?
No, I appreciate it though. Actually, now that I think about it, would you mind seeing if you could uh, radio the police chief for me?
Oh, sure, yeah. Major Garrett, you mean?
Yes, please.
Okay. What's your name?
My name is Mariela Godinez.
Okay. Yeah, he goes and radios it in. Hey, Major Garrett, I've got a Mariela Godinez here, National Park Ranger, out at the that place, the gas station. You know the one I'm talking about. Yeah. She wants to talk to you, and he brings you over the radio. This is Major Garrett. What's wrong, Mariela?
Yeah, sorry, I'm a little out of sorts. I was just curious if you had met back up with the agents, and I kind of wanted to see if you guys had already kind of got things going today, or if I have a little time before I need to get back.
Oh, I figure the agents are just doing their own thing. I told them to, check in with me, keep me abreast of whatever they're doing. But, you know, you ought to be safe. Feel like I shouldn't have to tell a federal employee this. That's not a safe place to be hanging out.
I know, and that's the thing. I'm normally so prepared. I feel like the whole thing has caught me off guard. I've skipped meals. It's very unlike me. Um, I have some concerns, and honestly, the agents don't set me at ease with how well they're taking all of this. So I'm just trying to fulfill my end of the bargain, which was to hang out with them.
All right. Well, you know what? Why don't why don't we all reconvene at their police substation on the res? Got an okay to come in there from the chief, and I'll meet you there. We'll talk about your concerns because I don't know. I think it's weird too. We were at that car yesterday, and I don't know.
Yeah, it seemed out of the pattern, but we'll talk more at the substation.
All right. We'll see you there. Be safe.
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
And as you hang up the radio, the officer is like, "So you knew that someone disappeared from this truck stop, and you stopped here anyway?"
Well, I mean, truck stop's still operational. There's not everyone who comes here disappears, right?
No, I'm just, you're a brave lady. I responded to that, by the way. The owner of the store called in, didn't get an answer from his employee, came down here, found the whole place still open. Nothing was secured, and the young man who was working here was just gone. And the money was still in the till. And from what I hear, reports are he was kind of a little shit, but the money was still in the till. Nothing was stolen. Kid was just gone. And I don't know, it hasn't sat right with me ever since.
Yeah, that's definitely very perplexing, right? Because the first thing that you'd be taught would be to establish a motive or something along those lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's it's not theft, it's brazenly not theft. I mean, it's kind of incredible how little has been disturbed. It's almost as though they went on the lam. They're out there, no no sign. They left their worldly belongings behind. I mean, it's the perfect disappearing act if you really wanted to go off the grid.
Yeah, I mean, if it had just been the kid, maybe he did something, maybe he ran away, but nope, it was too many people. And yeah, you should be careful.
I mean, it's up to I don't know if you heard, but they found a truck with the aerial the flyover. Uh,
Oh,
that puts us at 14.
oh boy.
And I mean, who's to say? Most of the people were just passing through. So who's to say how many more simply went unnoticed?
Now there's a scary thought. Well, you have a good day, ma'am.
I love that. I was like, yep, cheerio.
Yeah, I'm out of here. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. We are gonna have Chief Colorados and Mariela and Major Garrett are ending up at the police substation. Richard, you get a call. But you and Judith are with Evelyn at the hospital. You will get a call shortly. You can check in with Evelyn first, though, because that's where you went first off. And she gives you her findings. Evelyn, you want to say anything about them after you just kind of give them the rundown?
Sort of give them the rundown, but also kind of explain, like, this is what I found, like the accuracy of where these people were aiming for is bar none the best I've ever seen, kind of sort of thing. Explain the regulatory uses of your amygdala. Like it's your fight or flight system, it's your panic button, basically. And it seems that they really were almost aiming to make these people panicked before they died. And also kind of explain the tranquilizer that was in the system as well.
But these people were being lured away, they're being tranquilized, and they're sticking a needle in them.
I wouldn't say a needle. It seems the shape doesn't make sense. I don't recall ever seeing anything produced like this.
Okay.
The
Something like
tranquilizer, if I had to make an educated guess, appears to be biological in nature.
all right. Is there any way to get this substance identified?
None that I'm aware of at the moment. Handler, do we have anyone that we could call in to make that determination, to take a second look, or
There's a medical examiner locally that can be called in, that can take a second look at it. He's about as well trained as you are. At least that's what you would have heard from Chief Colorado's probably. However, you can also, like try to reach out to some people in the medical field that maybe are more specialized in, things like this, pharmacy, chemistry, biology type stuff, that would be like, have a for sure wider knowledge of all of what is out there. That would be probably bureaucracy or persuade if you want to get on the phone and do that work. Or you can give the agents your report and be like, do you want to try? Those are the thoughts that would come to you. So you can have someone just double check you, but they're not going to be necessarily better than you in terms of like their specialized knowledge of such strange things. Or you can go to someone way more, specialized in this area.
I guess, Agent Sappington, would you be interested in having me corroborate with someone else to review the findings or to do their own investigation? Do you have anyone in mind that you might want to pinpoint, or?
No, maybe we should just leave it. If you can't identify it, I'm sure I trust your work. I'm sure it's good enough. It's an unidentified substance. We just have to be on the lookout. I mean, I have no idea how he's delivering this or whatever this person is. However, he's delivering this with some weapon. It's very strange. Maybe our efforts are better just getting out there and looking for him.
Evelyn just kind of nods and chugs a little bit of coffee.
And Judith, what are you doing during this time?
Well, I'm not. Judith is not taking the news of some unindicted where you got it, weird substance that nobody heard about. She's not taking it well. She's not panicking, but she feels kind of facing a wall, because if the forensic examiner cannot identify it, who else do we know that could? And yeah, she feels at the roadblock, so she's spacing out a bit, not saying anything, just absorbing the fact that this will take longer to solve than expected.
Okay. So then, Richard, you get a call from the tribal police substation, I guess. Yeah.
I answered and say hello.
Hello, this is Chief Colorado's. I have Major Garrett here. Was wondering where you are.
We're at the hospital, going over some stuff with Evelyn.
Alrighty. It sounds like he wants an update, and he maybe wants to update you on something too.
All right, we can see him before we set out on our search for today.
Okay. So I guess the question then is, are all of you going over there, or is Evelyn continuing her work? If you want to, you can do another autopsy, with your, bit of remaining time here, and that's probably good.
That sounds like the safe option, yeah.
Okie dokie. The agents go to meet with the chief. In the meantime, though, let's go ahead and have Evelyn. What do you want to do next? So you've autopsied one of the Begay family. A cursory examination of the others suggests that you might find the same things. You could use one of them to double check, but your like second processing of the chemical from last night is giving you the same results so far. So you're pretty certain that that's all going to be the same. You do have now the body of Kenneth Braverman to look at, and then there's also a bunch of sheep.
Let's just take a cursory look at the sheep for the moment and see if they have any sort of puncture marks on them as well, like since they already kind of appear to be drained too.
Right, yeah. So you take a kind of quick and dirty look at the sheep. Yeah, you do find some puncture marks. You find only half the puncture marks that you found on the humans, though. And when you take a look at that on one of the sheep, it looks like the heart and lungs are pierced on the sheep. But there's no other puncture wounds beyond that, and they have been exsanguinated. All the sheep. You're pretty sure of that just by, kind of poking at them and taking a look at a couple of the bodies.
Okay.
That's not even hard at this point. Like, you've established that's easy. It doesn't take you hardly any time to do that, especially since you're not, necessarily worried about the same protocols with a sheep as you would be with a corpse.
Like, we're not a veterinarian. We're gonna move on to Kenneth.
All right. Okay. So go ahead and roll me a medicine check for your autopsy on Braverman.
70 flat.
Okay.
That is
And your score is 70?
60.
60. Okay. So this is gonna end up taking Evelyn some more time. And then you can also roll me a pharmacy. And you should get a plus 20% because you've already done work on another victim. So you have certain things that you're looking for, right?
Mm-hmm. So I got a 72 and my medicine was originally 60, so I would be at 80.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So that's a success.
Okay.
You find very similar things have happened to Braverman. in terms of like what's going on with his, like when you analyze the fluids. No, no tranquilizer, but the adrenochrome and the punctures of the same places on him. However, here's the weird part, and this is taking you longer because it's not what you expect. So he doesn't have puncture wounds in the places that you're looking for. And as you start getting into, like, okay, let's do this by the book. Cause of death, okay, it's probably disembowelment. You start looking at all of, like what's there in front of you. This is what takes you some time because some of the stuff you're looking at, like physically, isn't making sense at first until, you're kind of going over and over and comparing and, you're trying to like mentally put things back in their places, right? And then you start getting up into the cavity and you realize two things. So he is punctured in all of those same places. However, it's from the inside. So, his lungs are missing actually. So he doesn't have lungs, but he has been exsanguinated from the inside, and his amygdala and adrenal glands have been punctured from the inside. Also, the the place where he was disemboweled from, you realize that the wound isn't quite making sense when you finally, kind of get through your examination and come to a conclusion. The wound that was opened through which he was disemboweled onto himself was a reopening and enlarging of a previous injury that was sewn up. It was very deep, deeper than, would be safe. It's not something that you would normally do to a person, even in surgery, like unless you really needed to like fix an organ that is vital to a person inside. This would have been major surgery because it goes all the way in. And it looks like it was stitched up and started to heal. Looks like it was maybe about 8 weeks prior to death from the amount of healing that you see. So he had a wound. It was closed back up. And then afterwards, from the same place, he disemboweled himself. And you do think it was a self-inflicted wound that he disemboweled himself. This is the really creepy part, though. As you look at like what you can piece together of the remains of the old injury, it was very well, like done in terms of like sewing yourself back together, but it looks like he did that to himself too. From what you're seeing, from the way the stitching was done, it was done with a very steady hand, but it was done in such a way that you expect you would have to do if you got injured and like you were giving yourself stitches. That's the angles, that's the lines. It's not the way a surgeon would do it to a patient, and he shouldn't have been able to do that to himself and live.
Oof. How does Marielle feel about skinwalkers?
I think maybe now you need to roll sanity.
Okay, let's do sanity. Current sanity is 70, 71.
All right. So go ahead and roll me a 1d4 and see how much you lose.
4.
All right. This is perfect. This is perfect. So if that ends up being the last thing you do.
Awesome.
All right. So in the meantime, you guys get to the police substation with Chief Colorados and Major Garrett. And Major Garrett seems to be a little bit kind of unhappy. Not specifically at you, though. He's like, Okay. Glad you're here. So, what have you got for me?
Well, Evelyn identified some unidentified substance that was used to tranquilize the people, our victims. Some sort of also unidentified weapon, syringe, needle. I don't know what to call it, was inserted into them. And unfortunately, we don't really have much more than that because none of that really makes sense.
No,
Yeah,
no, it doesn't.
she's going to go over the other people and perhaps ships today, so we hope to get more news from her, but it's not looking very like we used to see, I would say. That's kind of a first.
Yeah, that's a first for me too. So, here's the thing. I've got something to share with you from Houston PD, and oh man, they did not want to share this with me, but I got them to talk. They kind of had to, right? I threatened to sick you guys on them if they didn't.
Mhm.
Anyway, what we found out, and I am not happy about this, and this doesn't leave this room. So, Kenneth Braverman was Houston PD.
Mm.
Kenneth Braverman
Okay.
was on the run.
What was
He
he on the run from?
the chief suspect in a series of prostitute killings down in Houston.
Oh no.
Yep. And apparently they were very disturbing. You know, these ladies were found field dressed like deer and partially consumed. And yeah, that's fun. And then he killed his kids apparently and fled town, except now I don't know. You know, we found him dead and his wife was missing. So they assumed that he kidnapped her and went on the run, but you know, I mean, she's missing still. So
Okay.
I hate to ask, but were they drained of blood?
uh well yeah. I mean, that's what you do when you field dress a deer. So yes.
Huh. Oh, but is are the are his Austin PD willing to kind of work with us to some extent? I know it took you a lot of effort to get that information from them, and we appreciate it, but it seems like it's not just staying in this city now. It's way bigger
Yeah.
than with that.
Uh
So they have to work with us. It's not even if they're willing to; they have to.
yep. They'll cooperate with you, I'm sure. They didn't, you know, that's when they opened up was when I threatened to sick you guys on them.
Does this
Yeah,
Kenneth
usually
have
that
a
works. Yeah.
does this Kenneth work with a police partner?
Oh, no, he was a detective, so
I see.
yeah. Probably why he was able to get away with it, or at least that was the thought. But you know, now we found him dead, and his wife Elaine is still missing. I don't know. Maybe they work together. I have no idea. I'm not even going to speculate at this point. But I've got a report here for you. I got photos of each of them. But you know, this is clearly, you know, matching the driver's license that we have here, and
We have to call Evelyn. We have to call Evelyn.
Yeah.
Perhaps she has more information. I don't know who she was going to look over next, but that's something she needs to know, and that's something maybe she has something for us. So, can I call her?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I stay in the room, obviously. I don't remember if phone had speakers at the time. Did they have speakers so I can put her on speakers?
I have
So
no
everyone
idea,
here?
but we'll say yes, or at least you just
Okay,
turn
okay.
loud enough and bring everybody in close.
Okay, so I'm calling her. Does Evelyn answer?
She does, and she sounds super shaky. Like, hello?
Evelyn, are you okay?
Like she's been
Evelyn.
crying a little bit. Like,
Oh,
I just did the autopsy on Kenneth, and he did this to himself. Like, this is impossible. It's impossible. I don't know. This is insane.
okay. I'm not gonna say try to calm down. um, are you by yourself? Judith is more worried about Evelyn being chicken. So are you by yourself? Is there someone with you? Are you? I'm not gonna ask. Are you okay? But are you somewhat safe?
Yes, it's just me, Kenneth, and the sheep, I guess.
Yeah, that's not ideal. Um, okay. We've got some information too. You're on speaker, by the way. So we're at the subs police station. Apparently, it's not just here. It's also from Austin. There were some killing. They were drained too. Yeah, she's chicken too because she didn't like what she heard before. But yeah, Richard, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, right now, I think we got to get out there and look for this wife that could potentially be the killer. Because obviously, it's not Kenneth, so it's got to be the wife. I got to focus on facts here.
Well,
Uh,
if you want more facts, here's one thing to ask her to do before she's done there is check his stomach if you can, if it's still intact, see if he ate some people. Because apparently he was supposed to have eaten some people.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Evelyn, I know it's a bit might be a bit too much to ask, but did you, or are you willing to, but did you check the content of his stomach?
You just kind of get this really shaky sigh out of her. She's like, "No, I haven't done that yet, but hang on." You hear her kind of clatter around on the table like she's picking something up, and she goes quiet for a second. She reaches over and makes an incision down the stomach.
Yeah, so you're able to find the stomach. You're able to, kind of peruse through the contents. It's obviously a little bit damaged because it was out in the heat in the car.
Oh,
But yeah,
great.
you are able to definitely find some stuff in there. You think it's possible, and you'd be like, I will call you back with the results on this. I'm gonna run some tests. Yeah. Okay. So I suppose that is where we will end tonight. As your case just got a lot wider